Welcome back to the Unpatched Gaming Podcast, where we share games. I'm your host, Zach.
And I'm Tyler.
And I am Nicholas, one of the co-founders and the AV editor, here for one of the important episodes.
Yes, one of the actual important episodes.
Yeah, the rest of those don't even pay attention.
Don't even count.
Hey, whoa, the Control episode I think is great.
Yeah, we're talking about Megaman Battle Network 3 today.
We are.
So let me kind of give the general pitch, because this is we're doing this for the 20th anniversary of the Japanese release of Megaman Battle Network 1. Both Nick and I are incredibly huge fans of this series. We've played every game to completion, multiple games to 100% completion. We huge fans of this series. We think it deserves a lot more merit. Very excited to finally share it with Tyler. Mm-hmm. It's been a while. We played both of our favorite entries in the series, Megaman Battle Network 3. It also happened to be our first entry that we ever played. That is purely coincidence. I've played this game many times as an adult and can confirm that it does hold up. It is an incredibly well-designed game and the best from the series, for sure, in my opinion.
It is a very good game, and I'm looking forward to diving into it.
Yeah.
Once again, I didn't finish it, unfortunately.
You're close, though.
Yeah, they've got like 1 or 2 sessions left, but I tried. I played it very diligently.
Yeah, and it's a beefy little game.
It's was doing very poorly. I'm sure we'll talk about it, but I hit a very intentional brick wall. But after you and I talked about it, we sort of determined that I was likely caught in some sort of like negative feedback loop.
Yeah, I believe so.
And I just couldn't progress for like 2 days, several sessions.
Yep.
But
yeah, we'll get there. I'm excited that you got further. And it is a tough game. We'll touch on that too, especially for our first time, for a newcomer. But before we dive too deep, since this is one of both Nick and I's favorite games of all time, top 5, seriously, we love it that much, I whipped out my Noah's Mill.
Also out of beer.
Yes, he's also out of beer. But this is probably one of my favorite bourbons of all time because it doesn't just taste like bourbon. A lot of bourbons you drink, it's vanilla. You get a lot of that oak influence, and you're done. That's it, because of how strict it is in terms of bourbon laws in the U.S. So this is really special. A lot of sarsaparilla, a lot of more kind of rich root notes, and it has, still has vanilla, those characteristics, but it's also 57%.
Yeah, that's exciting. I thought you mentioned that it was kind of rough. Like it was pretty harsh. I'm actually not getting that. Certainly when it hits your tongue, it feels like it's gonna be, but it goes down very smooth.
Yeah, it burns on the tongue for sure.
But at the same time, it's like I can't describe whiskey and bourbon to you well enough. You would be able to do that much better. But it's got this like airiness to it. Like it's cloudy.
That's fair. Yeah,
and it feels really, it like definitely fills your whole mouth.
I think that comes from the body of a whiskey with this much alcohol behind it. A lot of times, if it's a well-made whiskey with a high alcohol content, you will get that body to it. Some people say creamy. You just said airy, right? That comes from a well-balanced, strong liquor, specifically in an oak-aged one like a whiskey. So hit the nail on the head.
Balanced, I think.
Yeah, this definitely is easily one of my all-time favorite bourbons, and it's usually just $50. It's a steal. I think,
thanks for sharing.
Yeah, even Nick is actually drinking it.
Yeah,
which is rare.
I'm not a big drinker, so the biggest notes I can give is I will drink it.
I will. That's the biggest praise you can get. Congratulations.
Also, I don't know if I've ever seen a whiskey in a wine bottle before.
And then they do Rowan's Creek as well, I believe, and they do it in that kind of a bottling, similar label as well. They do a great job. I really like everything they do. Let's get started. Talking about Battle Network. I'm going to go through the quick pitch for those the uninitiated, which I'm sure there are plenty of you, unfortunately. Please find a way to play this game. Legally or illegally. I don't care. Do it. It's so good. I wish they would have dropped the Switch collection. It deserves it. But since they don't, find a way to play it.
On the Wii U Virtual Console.
It is. And that's a great way to play it, actually. I've heard from multiple people who have experienced the game that way that is a winner of a way to play it.
I just wish the range on that controller were a little better. But
sure,
really, I can
fair.
plug it in and tuck it under my bed. and
Yeah.
just play with the controller.
So I'll go through the pitch real quick. I know I've been talking a lot, but let me just go through the pitch and we'll kind of move on from there. It's a pretty simple game. It does have, it's described as a JRPG. It's very fringe in that definition, though. It does kind of have a JRPG-style story, but really the core of the game is a little bit of overworld exploration. You play as a guy named Lan, who it lives in this world where cyber technology, internet technology, has progressed far faster than robots. It's kind of a split timeline from the normal Mega Man timeline. And Dr. Wily in this universe he's been shamed because he was into robotics, and he kind of fell from grace because robotics kind of fell out of favor. So instead, we have this huge cyber world, and to navigate the cyber world, everything is, just like now. Like, it was honestly a little bit progressive in its thinking.
Absolutely.
Everything is on the internet, right? Everything. Even like there's a little tiny divot in the wall in a lab that you can jack into because everything's on the net. And so what's really interesting is Mega Man in this game is a net navi, a particularly strong one, and what they do is they navigate the little AI beings almost. They simulate human emotions, human behaviors, and they navigate the net for their operator. They can go and find data, they can go and perform tasks, social hangouts, what we do on the internet now, right? It's pretty cool.
But like a MySpace page that you can walk around in.
Yeah, exactly. It's really interesting, and you eventually you can jack into different aspects of the overworld. It's how you explore. You can explore the actual internet portions of the game, and that's basically it for that perspective. As you progress through the game, you find new areas, yada yada yada. But what the real draw is the combat. And you have a 3x3 grid, and the enemies have a 3x3 grid, and you can move forward, backward, up and down on it. And you use your Mega Buster. No matter what, you always have access to it. A little choo-choo-choo, 1 damage, or you can charge it for 10 until you upgrade it using something we'll talk about a little later.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Or the operator, Land, sends battle chips 5 at a time by default that you get every turn, every 10 seconds, that you can activate the custom screen at the end of a turn. And what this does is you get access to your folder. You have 30 battle chips in this folder, and they all have a different code, a lettering code. And if they're of the same code, you can select them together. Or if they're the exact same battle chip, of which you can have 4 of the same type per folder of the standard chips, you can select all of them at the same time. So that next turn, until you decide to press the trigger button to activate the next turn after 10 seconds have passed. And you can do it right at 10 seconds or wait forever if you want. But you'll be able to keep those chips and try to use them. Stuff like swords, higher damage things, the way you'll actually be dishing out most of your damage. But there's support things you can do. You can interact with the stage, setting panel types, tearing up the panels. And really, there's an incredible amount of interplay on just these little simple 3x3 grids. You can take enemy space, that kind of stuff. And so that's how you do battle.
Blockades or remove tiles entirely?
Yep. Some chips, when there's a removed tile, activate. Some chips activate when everything's clean. Some chips activate when there's grass on the ground. Really just a huge amount of variety there. And you typically are battling viruses. Viruses are everywhere. It's part of a NetNavi's job to clean out viruses for their operator. But there's also other NetNavis that you battle, either for sport or just because they're violent and trying to delete the other navis and achieve some sort of nefarious goal. So it's a little interesting game. It really gripped me right away when I was a kid, just from the way that you explore and run around, and really at the end of the day, the combat was just, and the way that it encourages diverse styles of play is really incredible, and I've only come to appreciate it more as an adult. But we'll dig more into every aspect of that as we go along. Just kind of wanted to give you a broad overview. But more importantly, I think the context of what this game means to me and Nick is more important, and why we really wanted to talk about it. Why don't you go ahead, Nick?
Well, mind you, when we first started playing this game, Zach, you were 14?
I think, actually,
15?
Mom, I called Mom, and I asked her, Mom, when did you get this game for us? She's like, I don't remember when I got you that game. I remember it was early, right after we got the Game Boy, because she got us both Game Boys. And she said it was for our trip to some sort of dinosaur fossil place in Texas. in 2004, you were 5, and I was 10.
The main thing to consider here really is the age gap that we had. It was pretty incredible. I was 5 years old. Zach was 10 at this point. And I mean, even at that age, I'm realizing things about this game, playing it again now as a 21-year-old that I never caught, obviously, before. I mean, I played it when I was 5, played it when I was 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Pretty much through 18.
Pretty much, yeah. So I played it a lot, but even now I'm catching things about it, and there are mechanics that I'm just beginning to understand. This game is deep. This game is really deep, but it was even accessible to me as this 5-year-old kid. Obviously, I probably wouldn't have gotten through it without Zach. One of the biggest parts of this game is community playing. You can trade ships, you can battle each other. Really cool stuff. He always won, but
when you were that age.
Okay, when I was 5, I started doing a little better.
That's not really that fair.
But there are certain milestones you have to achieve, which he helped me with through that team kind of community playing aspect of the game, which was really cool because I was little, but even then I was able to continue because of that helping aspect. But even without that, it was accessible to me, and now I'm going deeper into the game and still loving it just as much, if not even more. But just building this video game, I don't know, building block bond.
It's amazing because
it's incredible.
When I moved out of my house, out of my parents' house, the last thing Nick and I did together was play through a Battle Network game together. This has been present through the Halos, through the Assassin's Creeds, the HD spectacles. We'd always run back to that little red crayon box, and we'd blow in that little cartridge, and we'd boot up Battle Network again.
Which we now have 3 copies of each in.
I straight up have. This is my 3rd copy of Blue. I only got it because I wanted the box again. But we own a lot of this game.
I think there's only one game I've owned that many copies of. And I think I'm on my 6th copy of Elder Scrolls Oblivion. I think I owned it 2 or 3 times on PlayStation 3. And then I got rid of it, would get something else, really be missing it, and would, trade things in and get it again. And then there was a 10th anniversary edition, maybe it was a 5th anniversary, if that sounds right. 5th anniversary steelbook that came out on the PS3. I still
have that baby, right?
Yes, and I still have the original manual from my first copy because there's so much information in there. It's it's a nice beefy manual when they still used to do that. So I've still got my original manual in there. I always kept it in case the next time I purchased one it didn't come with it. And then of course I've had it on Steam, and then the Anthology collection. So I've purchased that game. I've actually never finished that game. I just do other things.
Same with
always.
Me. Same with Skyrim, man. For me,
I've
never finished quote unquote the Skyrim.
The closest I've gotten, I think, is the second to last mission, which is just typical of me. Just get right to the end and then go do something else.
Am I the only one here who has finished the main story of Skyrim?
Yep.
Yeah, I definitely haven't.
That's fair.
I kind of feel bad for you.
I've done very little of that. I haven't even gotten to the point where you get to choose a faction to fight for.
Yeah, me neither.
What? It's...
Yeah, I straight up
who played this game?
No, I did.
There's so much more to do.
Markarth and excavated Dwemer ruins.
Yeah, and also the modding community has some really big campaigns as well. I've done some of those. Those are really nice. One of my favorite moments was diving into some cave with a dragon. He's like, "Hey, Dragonborn, you should come help me on this island." And you go down there, and he just traps you. He wanted to kill you. And it's huge Dwemer ruins, but in my opinion, much more interesting. The fan-made stuff is much more interesting. But we're here to talk about Battle Network.
It's fine.
Not Skyrim.
But I think it elicits a similar feeling in me. And, every time I boot this game back up, I'm afraid that nostalgia is the driving force behind what I love about it, because of how wrapped up my brother and my bond is in this game and our time growing up together. And every time I'm baffled that it is definitely not nostalgia. I'm the first person to admit when nostalgia has clouded my vision, when something actually sucks. And this is not one of those times. It really deserves your attention and your time. And I'm excited to hear the perspective of someone who has never played one before.
Yeah.
That's honestly what I'm probably most excited for today.
I was very excited to play it. Finally, this is, you've been recommending this game to me for the better part of a decade.
Yeah.
Or maybe even a little longer than a decade at this point. And I've just never gotten around to playing it. I've never enjoyed Mega Man. It's never really been my forte. Obviously, this is only Mega Man by theme.
Yeah.
But I didn't know enough about it to know how much I would enjoy it. Because really at its core, there's a lot of deck building here.
Oh, yeah.
That's where a lot of the customization comes into play. And a lot of deck building games just allow you to, play cards like you would maybe in Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh! You play them on a field. But some other games have really played with that formula. There's, I forget, I think it's now defunct, the Valve game that came out a couple years ago, Artifact. That's playing on 3 separate fields with different lanes in those fields. And I feel like Ascension also had a 3x6 row to play different elements in, and Gwent does some interesting things as well. I like all of that stuff. I haven't played all of them, but I love deck building games. And so that's what really caught me here, the customization there, and being able to find a strategy, lean into it, and the game encourages it as well. So one of the features in the game is, one of the mechanics, I guess, is choosing a style, or rather being given a style. And about a third of the way through the game, you're given 2 styles based on the way you've been playing. So I got grass and guts. So there's the elemental styles, and then there's the play styles. So I don't know why I was giving grass. It's
random,
right? Okay.
Yeah, elements are random.
Okay, so I got grass, which is fine. It has actually worked quite well for me. But guts, I've been using I don't know why it's called guts. It's odd. But it's when you use your buster, your gun a lot. And
I think it just comes from a lot of the bonuses you get from it are typical of someone like Gutsman. They pierce armor, or they allow you to not flinch.
So it's like your fortitude.
Yeah, exactly. But you're right. The core thing that actually makes it so unique is the buster. You're right. Yeah. Which is the only thing that's not very guts about it.
So it improves your play with the gun, which is the simplest little, I'm just going to hit you for 1 damage. It really is meaningless until it gives you gut style. And I really wanted that. I wanted something that I didn't look at the guide for what kind of styles to go for. I was just going to wait to see what they give me. And it's exactly what I wanted, because I was building a sword build. I was trying to weed out all of my ranged attacks in my deck, which the folder is your deck, and the custom screen is when you get the play cards from your hand. When you decide to, after every 10 seconds, you're given a chance to draw a new hand of 5 and play cards from it that match the.
Just to clarify, it's when you draw your first hand, it's 5 random. But let's say you pick 3, you can only pick 3 because you can pick up to 5 every turn to use on that turn. But 3,
you draw up to 5.
Yeah, up to 5. And if I select 3, the 2 I didn't select will still be there. And it'll pick 3 more randomly from the deck.
But also you can discard cards and spend a turn to draw additional cards. So if I discard those 3, then I will draw the 3 to replace them, and 3 new ones, having 8 cards.
And if the battle goes on for more turns after that, you'll have 8 every time.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
Because I actually don't do that very often. My deck is built where I'm getting what I need pretty consistently.
Yeah, which is where you want to get.
But there's something here that I think is such a great limiter, and every deck building game, I think, needs a unique limiter. In Magic the Gathering, it's the mana system. Pokemon, it's your energy. I don't know if there's more limiters, like if you can only have a certain number of type of Pokemon. I don't remember. But if you fill your deck with each of the 9 types of energy, or however many there are at this point, you're going to have a hard time getting what you need. So that's an inherent limiter. Same thing with Magic, the mana. If I'm playing a 5-color deck and my deck is 40 cards, but 20 of those need to be lands, which I've split over every color possible, the consistency there is 0. So the limiter here is the letters. You can put literally anything in your deck, but you can only place things that are either the same type of attack or have the same code. So is it the whole alphabet?
I don't think it's quite the whole alphabet, but it's mostly.
Yeah, most of the alphabet. So you might have Canon B or Canon H. And if you're building a deck that has a lot of cards you want from H, even though you're playing Canon H, maybe take Canon C out so you can get more H cards. And
no, it is the whole alphabet. It totally is. I totally forgot because I thought X was left out, but no, there's a Giga chip with X. So yep, totally. Nope. Yep, the whole alphabet plus a star.
Cool. Yeah, and the star allows it to be played with anything, but there's an interesting limiter there. So whereas you could play Canon C, Canon H, and Canon F all together.
Because they're all the same chip.
If I play Canon C, copy damage star, I can now only play C cards.
Yeah, so like if you choose a star card with another card, you can now no longer select a cards based if they're just the same type of chip anymore.
You then have to play based on the code, the letter code. But that's one of my favorite things about card games is the deck building, so I really took to that. And then there's another sort of form of customization, and that is with the Navi Customizer.
Which was introduced in 3.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, okay. So this is the first, and it maintained its way through the other, the final entry.
Because it was one of the best mechanics they could have added.
Yeah, it was genius.
I like it a lot.
Because before this, you just straight up RPG, I got an upgrade item, I'm going to upgrade my Buster speed, my Buster charge, my Buster...
Oh, yeah, this is way more interesting.
It's, way better.
And lends credence. We had some arguments just for the sake of it. Where it's a JRPG, but this game definitely is pulling away from a lot of that. It feels like.
Yeah, a lot of what you'd expect to find in a JRPG.
You can save any moment, and it's immediate. You can skip any cutscene. The battles are super quick. There's very little grinding.
Lots of action in the battles. It is all like in the final boss. I'll touch on this a lot when we get to that point, but the final boss tests more than anything your ability to control the space of those 9 panels. Your ability to position yourself and know how your enemies will move in response to the way that you're moving is so key, especially with a sword deck. You know what I mean? Like, I need to know that when I step back, this enemy will move forward, or when I step forward, this enemy will come to the front, or if I move to this row, that enemy will try to move out of that row. Yeah. You know, things like that. Positioning is honestly, I think one of the most keeps me engaged more than almost anything else.
Yeah, that's definitely true for me as well. Well, no, it's the deck building. It's seeing that play style come to fruition. And
sure.
While my sword style is still carrying me through, and I foresee it carrying me through to the end of the game, I'm already brewing in the back of my mind, now that I finally have access to a second deck, brewing another play style with... a more defensive playstyle where I'll put up like a totem that spits fire and throw a shield that breathes poison and just sit back. Maybe I'll keep gut style, but there's so much more to explore there.
Yeah, and we'll talk about why style switching is so important and stuff.
I'm not using those yet, that playstyle, but can you shoot through like a totem or a shield?
If you're behind you? Yeah. Like Megaman, yes. You can shoot through anything that you summon.
Okay, so then gut style would be really good with that build also.
Honestly, what's amazing is technically any style can work with multiple types of folders. That's what's cool about the styles. Just different styles will enhance different kinds of folders. And we'll touch base more a little bit later on how the game encourages you not to be static like that. But
We didn't finish talking about the customizer though.
Yeah, go ahead.
Which is a really great feature and something that drives my play as well. And so it's a 5x5 or 6x6?
It grows.
Sure.
So I don't know.
I think it starts with.
I think it's 4x4.
That's 4x4 to start with.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Nick's good with numbers.
Did you say 4x5?
4x4.
4x4. Okay.
So it's 4x4, then it goes to 5x5, and then 6x6.
I wish.
No.
I don't have any upgrades.
It grows to like 5x4 and then 5x5.
Yeah, I think it only grows tall.
It grows one side each time.
I'm gonna just trust him.
Sure.
Just
Anyhow,
trust him. I don't
it's
know.
4x4 grid that you
I just
can
use
grow
it.
over time, but you put tetraminos inside of this grid, and there is one row that is the command line. Some of these pieces that you put in there, some of them are just traditional Tetris pieces. Some of them are really wonky pieces. Some of them don't even fit until much later in the game if you get those optional upgrades to the expansions. But there's 3 rules you have to follow, and we'll get to that.
Yep.
Having to follow them. 3 rules you have to follow. Solid blocks have to be placed. One piece of it has to be placed on the command line. So this is something like in battle, when you get reduced to 0, you can keep 1 health point. Once per battle, of course, but
Actually, no. If you heal, you get to go back to 1 again.
Oh,
yeah, it's disgusting.
That's really good.
Yeah, grass styles break the game with that too. Because if you have grass stage on, you can heal, and if they keep hitting you, you're healing and going back to 1 endlessly.
Oh my god,
it's really good.
That's really good. I should put grass. What is it? Grass field.
Grass stage. Yeah.
Grass stage.
And white is the only one that gets, because there's 2 versions. They kind of went the Pokemon route with Battle Network 3, and then version blue and version white. Unlike the later games in the series, there should not be 2 versions for this one, in my opinion. I don't think the 2 versions. The only thing it encourages is stuff like Nick and I bonding, because we use link cables. He has to trade me chips I don't get, and vice versa. But in white, you get Grass Stage Star, which is amazing. I am stuck with Grass Stage R.
Oh, okay.
But I get Ice Stage Star, which doubles electricity damage.
That's pretty good.
But grass doubles fire, so I mean, whatever.
So something that happens in battle has to be put on the command line. A piece of it does. So it might be like a Tetris T piece. Just a part of that T piece needs to be touching the command line.
And they'll be indicated that way because they're solid.
Yeah. Or
solid
something
color.
that is like a Tetris piece with all the blocks next to each other. That can be placed anywhere. And no, that cannot be placed in the command line. And then pieces of the same color cannot be touching each other.
Yeah.
3 rules you gotta follow. But the game also encourages you not to follow those rules because Mega Man gets errors and bugs.
Errors and bugs, yeah.
And so some things you just can't play. It'll tell you that there's a full error code. Mega Man can't continue, so he can't finish the pre-boot or something, and so you gotta remove that piece. But if, let's say, I don't put a solid piece in the command line, I'll still get the benefit for that, but I will also get some sort of negative. Now,
and sometimes a positive, even.
Sometimes. Now, those are predictable. For example, if I put a +1 strength or +1 attack, which increases the damage of my buster, in the command line...
Where it shouldn't be.
Where it shouldn't be. I will get the +1, but I will randomly... My buster will randomly stall. So...
click, click.
Yeah. So that's a pretty big downside.
Especially for you.
For me, yeah. I need that expansion so I could fit more attacks in there, because while... typically you're only doing 1. I'm building a close combat aggressive sword style. I don't have any... I might have 1 ranged attack in my deck. That's because with gut style, not only do I deal more damage, currently I'm doing 8 damage per shot, I also have a machine gun. After, I think it's 3 successful shots in a row, I then fire off 6 shots.
Yeah, really fast.
Yeah, it's really quick. So I can
it'll stagger enemies, right? They'll go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
so
crazy.
after you can hit them with that full combo, they'll be stunned for a minute. Now you can't touch them. It's or at least bosses. Is that
Sure.
only bosses that do that?
Yeah,
Okay. So I guess with other enemies, it doesn't stun them. It's just the bosses then.
correct.
But I'm dealing massive amounts of damage. If I'm doing 8 damage a shot right now, and in a second I can release like 9 shots, that's a lot of damage.
That's a lot of damage.
So I'll unload my my sword damages, my sword attacks, and another kind of card is the ability to take enemy territory. So I'll play a bunch of those, get them cornered, and just unload really crazy attacks. Which all swords are very strong.
Yeah, they do. They do
Even
big
from
damage.
the beginning of the game, they do double anything else you have, and then they go up from there. Now, towards the end of the game, there might be ranged attacks that are much stronger.
Yeah.
But up to this point, I still don't have anything stronger than my swords.
Yeah, that's pretty standard through well into the end game, really. Just because, I mean, Aqua Sword alone does 150 damage.
Yeah. But you have to be close. You really got to play aggressive. You're sort of the glass cannon at that point. But gut style is awesome for that play.
Yeah, and what I love is Nick and I both, our first style ever was gut style. First style ever. Mm-hmm. Both of us. And so...
I bet that's the consensus.
Yeah, and it's because of how I think a newcomer plays. What I love about this game's style system, we'll elaborate a little bit later, but it will give you a style based on how you're already playing. So it enhances the way that you're already playing and makes you consider even more possibilities in that realm. It's really cool. So real quick before we move too much further, because I want to dig more into the customizer and the styles, which I think really are some of the most genius aspects of this game. I want to touch on health. So your max health is really the only thing that upgrades. Your Buster always by default will do 1 damage, charge the same amount of time, and fire at the same rate by default. The Navi customizer is what's used to enhance those things. Health is the only thing that's the exception. Your health will go up from overworld finds and completing certain missions. That's it. So if you're not exploring, you will... Oh, and you can buy it from stores.
Putting upgrades or putting pieces into your customizer.
Sure, and that's
which can be removed. You can totally change. We didn't actually mention that. You can remove them, and if you don't need the health upgrade right now, because you walk into the grass area and you're dealing massive fire damage, whatever, they can't touch you. Take out your health upgrades and put something else in.
Yeah, and but these ones, the health upgrades here are permanent. So like you start the game with 100 health, the maximum you can have without Navi Customizer additions is 1,000, and you get 20 more max health every HP memory.
So
is
there are
what
a lot
called.
to find. There are plenty to find.
Yeah.
And I think the first time we played through this, when I got to the end of the game, I had like 340.
Oh
yeah,
my
that's
goodness.
right. Yeah, I think I was the same way. I think I had 300 something at the end of the game.
I think right now I've got close to 600.
Yeah,
Because I have a 250. I've got a 250 upgrade, but without that, so if I've got 250, I've currently got. I've got just over 500 then.
Yeah, so I think that's totally fair. I think by the end of the game I had 600 or something, but right now I'm well into the post game and I have 920.
Without upgrades.
Without upgrades.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, so I mean, and they're not too obscurely hidden usually. Oh no, I got 940. I officially have 940. I forgot. But yeah, they're not too obscure. They try to make them pretty, generous, pretty obvious. If you are going out of your way to look for mystery data, you will find them. And I guess touching on that real quick, do you want to elaborate about green and blue and that kind of stuff?
Well, the first time you run through an area, you'll notice that there are 2 different colors, the green and the blue mystery data.
These are chests.
Yeah, to clarify, they're basically just you tap A on them and they'll say, you got this. So when you're running around, they're usually in corners. They're usually not, in the middle of the beaten path, so they make you go off just to get these mystery datas. And they usually have a chip or some zennies in them. Blue, specifically...
Zennies is the money, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
We got to clarify the jargon.
This is basically... my life.
I learned
I learned about zennies before I learned about dollars and cents. So
it's just built in. It's ingrained. Thank you, Tyler.
Talk to people, when I talk to people, it's like So that costs $30, which is it's a currency that we use in the real world,
not in Megaman Battle Network.
Yeah, I know it's confusing.
But these two different colors, blue mystery data, are it's special. It's a one-time find. Once you pick it up, that's the last time you're going to see it. Usually, it has a special kind of chip, or a significant amount of zennies in some instances.
HP memory.
HP memory is very commonly found in these. There's also something called a reg up, which we'll talk about. We'll talk about that in a second.
That's good.
But the green mystery data, you'll find each time you go out and into the net world as Mega Man, they will regenerate randomly in different locations in different corners, and they will have more common things like lower amounts of zennies and battle chips and things like that.
But sometimes you'll find like 6,000 in there if you're lucky.
Yeah.
You'll find some good amounts if you're looking.
And they're pretty consistent too. If you go into the hardware,
talk about regular memory.
Yes, please.
Reg ups, regular memory. So in your chip folder while you're making it, you have something called memory, and each chip is assigned a certain amount of memory. If you have enough, you can set it as your default chip. So sword chip has 11 or 12 memory. If you have that much, you can set that as your default, and you always start a battle with that chip.
It'll always be there. It's your first chip. You're guaranteed it every time.
So not only can you build a folder around these codes, you can also build a folder around a chip that you really need and integrate into that folder. So if you're playing an elec folder, or even have elec style, and you set ice stage
at the beginning of every turn,
you'll do double damage
though, right?
with each of those.
No, stages
it's like
are
32
actually,
or something.
Yeah, I think stages, they're end game amounts, but you'll be able to have them.
No, I already got 32.
Yeah, so you'll
and
be
I'm not even using the +5 right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you can, of course, Navi Customizer, you can boost your regular memory if you want. I think so. The max that you can find without Navi Customizer is 50. I actually have 39 right now. I have no idea where the rest is hiding.
I'm 35. Still trying to find it.
And if I had one more, I could do fast gauge as my default chip. But a lot of times, what you'll find is you can just you need that extra boost. You just put that reg up 5 in your Navi Customizer and run it, and there you go. Magic. It's an amazing system. But that covers kind of the basics, and I'd like to dig deeper into the Navi Customizer and the styles. So, Navi Customizer. I want to talk about just the incredible diversity you have. So you can immediately, at any time that you are not in a battle, pause, go to the menu, and swap out Navi Customizer parts. I'm in the end game, well into the post game right now, and I'll tell you right now, I have so many pieces, and I change them out constantly. Oh, I'm going to try to do this to this boss. I'm going to try to beat this boss in 20 seconds to get the S rank for the V4 chip. Oh, I'm going to go and try to grind for some of these chips that I'm looking for. I need zennies. I need this. I'm going to do that. Constantly swapping out Navi Customizer parts. That's where the RPG mechanics come in. It's not this arbitrary set of numbers that are yours anymore, right? You no longer have X strength, Y speed. It's all done in the customizer. You are constantly changing and adapting what Mega Man is to the situation, and I love it. I think more games should be like that. More games should be less about grinding and more about dynamic systems that allow you to adapt and use your own brain and figure it out yourself. Nick, when I'm trying to remember, so when you boot up the Navi Customizer the first time, it gives you undershirt and some attack and speed boosts, I think.
I believe
right?
so. Yeah, you can't even fill up the whole thing yet at the beginning.
Yeah, and I'm in the end game, post game now, and I straight up have to just hold the down button and scroll. And I have so many pieces
and lots.
Yeah, it's a lot, and it really cool because it rewards you for being better at the game. If you don't need health boosts, if you're just kicking butt, like Tyler was saying, kicking butt and taking names in that area, take it out. Throw some attack bonuses. Throw some speed bonuses in. These are tiny pieces typically.
Speed bonuses with gut style.
Yeah,
dude, gut style seems so good. It's my only style right now. I've not tried the other ones. just because I'm still upgrading that in the
Sure.
end game. It sounds like your upgrades go faster. I think I'm level 3 out of 5 right now. So once I fill that up, I'll try a different build.
Yeah, you should. Each one, I mean, well, let's just jump into that really quick, because Navi Customizer and styles go hand in hand. So styles were introduced in Battle Network 2, which you're more familiar with 2 than I am. I've only played it once, and it was a while ago now. But I believe there's only 3 or 4 styles in that one.
I honestly think you remember more than I do, because I think I played it first, didn't I?
You beat it, yeah. You played it before
I only
did.
played it the once, so you played it more recently.
Okay. Well, if I'm correct, there's only 4 styles in that game. There's Guts, Shield, Guts, Shield, Team, and another one I'm not sure of right now. But it's just these 4, and it's fun and it works well. But what Battle Network 3 did is they introduced the Navi Customizer, and now as you level up a style, really the only level up system in the game is leveling up a style. So as you keep playing with it, as you fight 80 to 120 battles-ish, you are rewarded with a Navi Customizer piece that further increases that playstyle. Custom. Custom's the last one from 2. So I pretty much always get custom every time, not because I want to, not because I'm trying to, that's just the way I play. Custom style basically gives you an extra. When you go to your to the custom screen in battle, I now get to choose from 6 chips. I still can only choose up to 5, but I get to choose from 6 chips, so I'm getting an extra card draw, right, is essentially what's happening. And Nick, you and I always end up with this style.
Always, every time.
Yeah, every time. And so you get to draw an extra one. So when you upgrade it the first time, it gives you custom +1 as a customizer piece. So now you can draw 7. The next gives you is custom 1. So now you draw 8. And the last one it gives you is custom 2. You can now draw 10.
That's a lot of cards.
Yeah, it's half your deck. You draw half your deck. Or sorry, a third of your deck right out the gate. It's crazy. But so there's one other limiter in the Navi Customizer, and this one will error out and cause problems. Like it'll actually error out. It will not let you finish booting up Mega Man. Is if you install a piece that you got from custom style. It's a special color. It's a blue color for custom style. And the standard colors for the customizer are yellow, white, purple. That's the standard colors. And then whatever style you are has a bonus color that you can now install. So for custom style, it's blue. If I then switch styles, what custom style does, it rewards me with a blue custom 1 piece, a yellow custom 1 piece, and a blue custom 2 piece. So that yellow custom 1 piece I can now install no matter my style, because it's a standard yellow color. It's not a style specific color. But if I install blue, it will error out. What the game does is it gives you a tool you can buy from a character that lets you input error codes to bypass that error. It will give you a negative effect. For custom 2, it's your health. I believe it's your health goes down when you're in the custom screen choosing your chips, but you can still install it. And this right here is the beauty of this game, because I am now encouraged actively to try as many styles as possible and upgrade them all so that I can mix and match whatever style into whatever I need it to be. The most recent example I have is I got custom style, and then I got bug style. So I'm playing bug style, and I'd like to touch on that too in a little bit, but I'm playing this style, but I'm also still drawing 7 chips because I have custom 2 installed in my Navi Customizer. So I'm getting the benefits of both styles because I chose to diversify the way I played. I got rid of custom style when I maxed it out, and I started playing in a different way to get a different style. Now I'm totally rebuilding my deck, totally rebuilding my play style, trying something new that I'm not used to, and I'm being actively rewarded by the game for it. And it's a dynamic system too. Absolutely brilliant. I love it. I love it so much. Do you have more to talk about styles? Maybe to touch on like what it does later in the series with souls and crosses and stuff and how they differ.
Well, before you talk about later entries, this is the only Battle Network game I've played. You gave me one of your 18 copies laying around.
Yes.
So I played Battle Network 3 White. But from what the way you guys have talked about the series up to this point, this seems like such an incredibly iterative series.
Very.
Which
especially 1 through 3.
Yeah, what you're about to talk about, if you do jump into the other entries, the subsequent entries, it seems like they kind of take some really sharp turns.
Yeah, so I like to split it up into the first 3 and the second set of 3. So there's 1, 2, and 3.
Pre and post Breath of the Wild.
Correct. So there's 1, 2, and 3, and then there's 4, 5, and 6. The art style even changes in 4 through 6. It's a more chibi, smaller art style. And 4, 5, and 6 are really where they just experiment. Because 1 through 3, you're obviously seeing them building on what they already have into what I think they nailed it and couldn't do it. Like, they hit it with 3. There's a couple tweaks I'd change, but small ones. It really is. They nailed it. And so with 4, 5, and 6, it's more experimental. 4, they tried a whole New Game Plus system. In my opinion, it sucks. 5, they have a whole... I think you'd enjoy 5, actually. There's a whole sub-game called Liberation Missions where you have these panels.
It's so cool.
Yeah, talk about it. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I mean, I don't want to dive too deep into these other games because we are talking about Battle Network 3 today, but... Okay, in 5, these liberation missions. So, like Zach said, they were experimenting a lot with other things. 4 was a miss for most people in the way that they did that, but 5, they just went completely out the window with what they wanted to try.
Something totally different.
You can play as different navies in these liberation missions. So you can play as these other bosses that you fight. You kind of
bosses
recruit
from
them.
past series.
Yeah, you find
They're from
these
past
people,
entries.
and there are 2 versions. There's Proto Man and Colonel, and each one has its own, I guess, navies.
That's
characters.
That's where the 2 split versions matters, because like straight up, you are playing with 2 totally different sets of net navies, and I think it's a team of 6 by the time you're done.
I think so.
Or you get 6 people. I don't remember, so like 7, but yeah, it's really. Like, I played both because I wanted to play as all of them.
And they're practically different games because of these bosses. I mean, like, they're different people controlling the bosses when you fight the bosses, but then, so it's different characters as well as different people to play as. It's incredible. And
it's
through
really
these
fun.
missions, the panels that you're usually walking on in this game...
in the overworld.
Like
the overworld panels you're walking on?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Have in the liberation missions.
Yeah, correct.
Yes. Okay. Are kind of blacked out or purpled out.
Yeah, these weird purple gooey looking things. And they're kind of like all set in these squares, like little tiles, almost like the battles.
Yeah. And through these missions, you have a certain number of rounds to get to the end and fight the boss. And you have to clear out these panels by using certain abilities that each of the characters have to clear out certain amounts of panels in different patterns, and fighting each of those times. And if you win the fight, then they clear. If you don't, then you have to, you basically lost that turn with that person.
Yeah,
and when you get to the end, you usually aren't able to kill the boss the first time, but they stay with the same amount of health.
You only have, I think, 3 custom turns, and it automatically hits the custom button for you. Right, so you only have 3 custom turns with each character to try the fight.
Mm-hmm. It's...
Okay, so when you lose... Do you start over completely? You mentioned they stay with the same amount of health?
Yeah, so no, you just don't get to... So picture it like the purple panels you can't walk on, and you have to clear them before you can move your guys forward on the board. It's almost like a board. And if you fail, sometimes there's a negative effect. If you die in that round, you'll get stunned, and you'll lose another turn as well. But if I have 6 team members, because you start the game with only 2, but as you go on, if I have 6 team members, I can send someone else to try to do the same thing. I can try that panel again. And different team members have different abilities, like Gyro Man and Shadow Man in the opposing versions. They can walk on top of those panels, but they can't liberate one that's in the middle of other panels. They have to liberate from the edge, which is clearing a panel, liberating it. Not to go too in-depth on it, but it is...
Well, I'd like to play that.
That's what I thought. It's
See, because that kind of gets at what I think this game would be like if it were made today. It's 20 years old now. Well, now we have roguelikes. Now we have hit indie games like Slay the Spire. And I think if Capcom were to do another Battle Network game, it would be in that style.
I think
maybe
that would
something
kick butt
with
in that style.
a setup like the Liberation Missions, because that would be easily applicable to the sort of format that a roguelite offers. Because really, I mean, there is some decent stuff here. You know, I mentioned the story. It does pick up after a while. Well, no, the story as a whole doesn't pick up. There are some nice moments in it that I did enjoy. But honestly, it is just there almost out of obligation, it seems like. It's because unlike other JRPGs, it doesn't care about any of that. It allows you to skip it and circumvent any amount of that stuff and get right to the action.
Yeah, if you skip a cutscene, you can press the L button, and Mega Man will tell you what you're supposed to be doing next.
So,
which I utilize regularly, constantly.
Yeah, sometimes it's a little vague, but usually it'll get you where you're going.
For sure. At least point you in the right direction.
So, honestly, is that all of 5?
No, so it cycles. So you go from normal, typical Battle Network stuff, and so what you'll do is you'll basically do a little story part where you get your next ally, and then you'll do the liberation mission. Story part with your next ally, next liberation mission. And the post-game is straight up 3 hyper-difficult liberation missions. That's what it is.
Sounds good to me. Because all Slay the Spire is, which I love Slay the Spire, is 3 floors. That's it. The game ends after the 3 floors.
Yeah, I mean, if you pick up another one, I would like to see you play 6, just because that's my second favorite in the series.
Really?
But 5 is so hit or miss for most people. But 5, that's the one I replayed the most recently besides 3, and the one I've played the most
that's
besides
DS,
3.
Right?
You can play it on DS, yeah, and that's nice because you have access to both versions.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nick played Proto Man growing up. I played Colonel, and when we were done, we straight up swapped and played through the game again with the new navies.
I've actually added a couple copies to my eBay wishlist of 5. I didn't know much about it.
I just need the case. I'm missing the case.
Oh, okay. So the DS copy has both of them on the cart?
Has both games, yeah.
Or is it like Emerald version?
No, it's both games on the cart. It does have some Emerald version things. There are some bonus. There are extra chips. I think there's. It might be Japan only, but there's an extra soul you can get and stuff, and it does have more content, but not a lot. Like not enough to like where I'd tell someone to make sure they get it over.
What I would love
is a Switch Legacy Collection.
Sure. I mean, I would buy that immediately. But I'm sorry. Do you mean a Battle Network?
Yes, I do.
Collection. Okay. I want a re-release of Emerald, not a remake of Gen 3. I just want updated sprites of Emerald on the Switch.
That's fine with
I
me.
love that game.
Me too. It's my favorite Pokemon game.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't go back and play the remakes, but I'm pretty sure Alpha Omega, Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby would be my favorite.
They're pretty good, man.
It's such an interesting mix of old school and new school. It's so firmly right in the middle.
Yeah.
Which is perfect for me.
So, we kind of got off track a little bit.
Yes, we did.
But yeah, talking about, so all that to say, 4, 5, and 6, they do get a little more gimmicky, but not in a bad way gimmicky. They're trying new things. They're playing with the formula. 6, they knew it was the last one. They knew they were ending it. They were going to move to Star Force for the DS games. So they just handed you the horse in the handbasket. They handed you the whole shebang. You are so overpowered in that game, and it feels so fun to play. So fun to play.
Oh, yeah.
But now, you mentioned you would like me to play that. Yeah, it would probably be fun.
Just because, not because explicitly for you, it's because I love it and I want you to play it. If I was going to recommend, I would still recommend 3 over 5 to you, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. I think, and it has a lot to do with the chips, but I think you would enjoy 5 a lot, just because of the liberation missions. And really, 5 is divisive. You go to the sub, it is just straight down the middle. A total divide on on if they like it or if they hate it, and it's because of liberation missions. You either love it or hate it. But it's well designed and I like it. So
let me make sure I've got it correct.
No, let's move on.
Okay,
but I'll give you a breakdown afterwards.
I'll just watch some gameplay.
Yeah, it's really fun. But I wanted Nick to go back and touch on Souls and Crosses versus the style system.
Well, post 3, they kind of moved away from styles and went into it's called either Soul or Cross, depending on the game that you're playing. I don't really remember if they did it in 4. That's the only one I haven't finished.
Souls.
Okay.
In 4, it works the same way it does in 5.
Okay.
Same exact way.
So 4 and 5, then you have souls, which at certain points in the game you get these kind of style upgrades where during a battle you can choose a chip of that type. So if you have I forget exactly who they're tied to in each of the games, but practically the elect style, or the combination between you and the elect Navi or boss, or whatever. If you choose an elect chip, you can go to press the soul button and you combine yourself and kind of take on a style for the rest of that fight, or at least for a portion of that fight.
Yeah, I think 3 turns is the maximum.
I think so. Again, I'm not super familiar with 4, but
I think crosses last forever in 6, but 4 and 5, I believe it's just 3 turns for the souls.
So you get this period of time where you have the abilities of that thing. So your charge changes, sometimes your regular buster changes, and sometimes you can charge the type of chip to the element that you are. I don't know if that's just in 6.
No. I've seen it in 5. I remember it a lot in 5. Is like if I was playing Tomahawk Man, I would charge up a grass chip and be able to do extra damage with it and stuff.
An extra amount of damage with that type of chip, which is interesting.
Yeah, it's fine. I like it. How do you stack it up against styles?
So I think it's, as far as what 6 was going for, totally appropriate. You have these, this huge amount of diversity where you just choose the chip. Actually, you don't even have to choose a chip in 6. You just get to go into the style, choose whatever you want.
Yeah, you don't sacrifice anything.
Nothing at all. You just go for it. But it's interesting, and I think it's cool, fight to fight, and depending on who you're fighting, you'd want to stack up with different kinds of chips. But it completely gets rid of that encouragement of choosing a play style, or really diving into a specific set of chips or a specific way of playing. Because the way that Zach and I play gets us custom style, because we use a lot of chips in succession.
Yes, smaller damage, but they go together. You can select. They're all the same code.
Exactly, and it just strengthens the way that we play. It encourages us to play further that way. But then when you hit the limit, it says, even Land Mega Man at the end say, "All right, looks like it's time to try something new," and so you go to a different style after about 100 battles.
Yeah, and it's a little bit vague. I wish it was less vague. You do have to go out of that style, go back to normal.
Actually, you don't.
What?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure you do.
I changed during one of my styles. I think it forces it.
Really? Okay, well then I'm not going to get the style I want next.
Sorry.
Oh well, that's fine.
Anyway, again, with the depth of this game, we still don't even understand it. But I think it's cool that it forces just that I guess style change, that gameplay, that just the way that you play changes along with these styles. And if you want to play a specific way, there is a way to go further in that. Like in White version, the one that I really want is called Ground Style, and it lets you control the field a lot better, change what the field looks like, what kind of panels.
The game with start out the round with just a certain type of terrain set,
and it's incredible because. It's incredible. No,
yes, correct.
It just makes it so that I use a ton of elect chips, so doing double damage with those would totally strengthen that entire chipset.
What?
Yes.
So can I get a customizer chip that just starts with grass?
Yes. If you level up Ground Style, yeah, absolutely. See what I mean? So that's what I love about this game is it's just because I love crosses and I love souls because of their immediate satisfaction. It's cool and it's fun and it serves as a great reward as you progress through the game because it's an immediate sense of satisfaction. Styles take a lot more of your time. Mm-hmm. It takes about 100 battles till you get a new one, and it takes about 300 to level up a style all the way. It takes some time. And I know that's a detriment for some people, but for me, it makes you feel like you earned it more. And you're right, the way that it pushes you to try a new style. I believe that it will never give you the same one twice in a row. Right? Yeah. It will give you another one, the same one again later, but that way, someone who's just really stuck on playing like I do, custom style, I'm just going to keep choosing a lot of chips every time, no matter what, and have no really particular way of playing with them, just whatever chips work best for me right now. When I get a new style like shadow style, or I get a new style like team style, I'm going to be like, oh, well, this is giving me a whole new tool set. I'm just going to go and switch the way I play now based on what I have. And it works so well. It works incredibly well. I love seeing games that are built to encourage. If the system itself is deep enough to allow that diversity, and then find another system that works within it to encourage that diversity. And it rewards you for the diversity. We talked about the customizer pieces. You can now mix and match as many styles as you feel like mixing and matching. I'm incredibly baffled every time I play this game. And the one I want to make sure we touch on before we move on, because I keep forgetting, is bug style. So we talked about earlier, you don't have to follow the customizer rules as long as it doesn't fully error out and you need to input a special code. Which, to note, just because I didn't last time, you can't have two pieces that will error out because you can only enter one error code at a time. So that's another limiter there. But let's say I find a little bug that works for me. Like I found one when I was playing. This is the one that got me bug style when I originally played the game back all those years ago. Is it turned my charge shot into a rock cube. Your charge shot, instead of shooting, now just places a giant rock cube on the panel in front of you. And there are chips that let you launch that cube at the enemy for 200 damage. Like, especially early game,
good.
It's a fat stack of damage, and it just keeps pushing through them. So I can just keep loading up these cubes, and I did that. I found this bug, and I just did that. And all of a sudden, style change. Oh, great, what is it? It's bug style. The game rewarded me for breaking its rules. Like, how awesome. So few games do that.
That's really cool.
That's bug style, in my opinion. When people ask me if they said pick one thing that makes this game so special and impressive, I'd pick bug style. Because it feeds into a system and actively rewards you for breaking that system, and I think it's great.
Not breaking it in a way that's like, oh, that's way overpowered.
Yeah.
Literally not following its rules and taking on negative effects.
Yep. Or like making that negative effect work for you.
Yeah.
It's absolutely delightful. There's one that launches a little. Your charge becomes a water gun. It's an actual water gun, but it does like 100 damage.
But it goes one square in front of you.
100 damage. Someone was telling me that there's one where straight up it just plants a flower in front of you. I think I've never seen it, but I was reading about it. Seriously, like incredible creativity.
Can you launch, like with the air gun, totems or shields that you place
Not
out?
Totems.
Dang it.
I don't know about shields.
Because I would definitely try to get that style if it would work with the play style that I'm the next deck I'm going to try to build.
Yeah, the air shots and the guts punches work best with stuff like pawns and rooks and knights rock cubes. Those kind of summon chips are tend to be what works best.
Can you get copies of the chess pieces?
What do you mean copies?
More?
Yeah. I know that it takes a long time to get more knights, but pawns, I believe, are in green mystery datas in a certain area.
Okay.
And of course, you can always buy one extra of any chip you already own from Higsby.
Or chip traders.
So Higsby, if you go to his shop, you have access to it now for sure. It's called the chip order. And one time, for every chip you've ever seen, excluding Giga chips, this includes Navi chips, you can buy an extra copy of it in a certain code. Yeah, you don't get to pick your code, but he has let's say I saw a pawn code, even if I didn't own it, if I had it in my folder at one point, I can now, one time only in the whole game, go to his shop, go to the chip order, and order another pawn.
Okay, so it doesn't let you choose your
code.
Does it save the game before you order? Can you save scum that?
No, it's not random.
Okay, so it's always going to be pawn C or whatever the letter is.
But it is always guaranteed if you have seen any chip, he will have one other copy of it for sure in his shop.
Where is that?
Just Higsby's shop in ACDC.
You just talk to Higsby, and there's an option chip order.
Have you ever bought anything from him?
Yeah. I only go to the main page, which is I don't have this much money. It's 8 chips that are 40,000.
Yeah. No, go to the other one. That's it's the chip order stock. I use it typically if I'm just if I want a code that I don't have for a certain chip, or if I'm just looking for a new deck and trying to find new codes that would work and stuff.
Zack.
What?
If I can get the grass field with my current grass style and swords, and get is it Muramasa?
Yeah.
Which deals as much damage as you've lost.
Up to 999.
But if I've got undershirt or undershot?
Undershirt.
That's probably undershirt.
Undershirt on, which allows me to maintain that 1 health once until I heal, but standing on grass heals me. I could constantly be dealing 1,000 damage with a sword.
Yeah,
that
man.
Sounds like a good sword.
Yes. Dude, see, this is why I love this game. So many strategies. Nick, this is what I want to touch on this, because Tyler asked earlier, like, what are some issues in the later games that are more like kind of minute, more specific. And the one that I think really highlights how good this game is basically every battle chip is more than just how much damage it does. A lot of them have utility. For example, there's one called Burner, where you kind of, Megaman throws something down on the ground and his space lights on fire, and then the spaces adjacent to him, so not diagonal, but just top down and in front and behind, also light on fire. It does 130 damage if someone gets hit by it. It's really good to use against the guys who dash into you, because they'll run into multiple fires, basically.
Oh, yeah.
But a little piece of utility, when you cast it, you are temporarily invulnerable while the fire's on you. And it is so good for guys that like to jump into your area, because then you can just burn yourself. And so like little things like that. So we haven't talked about this before, I don't think, you and I. It's not something I think I've brought up when we talk about how much you like this game. So does that still ring true? Maybe what you remember about the later games
For
and
sure.
stuff?
There are some times where I would put chips in my folder not to do damage, even really high damaging chips, but to avoid certain things. Like Condor, there's an enemy called Fishy. It has 1, 2, and 3 that give you something where you hold up your arm and then you dash forward with this thing. And you can be hurt in this, but certain chips or certain attacks can't hurt you while you're in this. So you can do it, and it'll blaze through enemies, usually killing all of them. It's a pretty good chip, especially in the beginning.
Oh yeah,
but
it does 90 damage, and you can get it really early.
There are things called bubblers that shoot a little thing at you, and it explodes on impact. But those can't hurt you. Other things can't hurt you. So you just get in front of them. It does take a little bit to charge up, but once you start going, they can't hurt you, and you just blaze through a whole line of enemies. Same with Step Sword and Step Cross. What you do with these, you move 2 spaces forward, and then slash in a certain pattern in front of you, depending on the chip. There are certain, what is that called? Magnum?
Yes.
Magnum sometimes gets you trapped in a corner, so it'll take out certain lines of your spaces, of your 9 spaces.
And so they'll be like, you'll have a hole, and so you can't move there unless you have a special thing attached called air shoes.
So since you can't move there, sometimes I get stuck, and I will, during my next chip run, grab one of those so I can, when they shoot, step onto their side so I don't get hit.
It only
and
lasts
come back.
like a second, but if you're smart and you know the pattern well, you can totally pull it off.
And it makes you feel awesome too.
Yeah.
But Step Sword, Step Cross, these are incredibly high damaging chips, especially for when you can get them. They do a ton of damage, and they're really good. But I will equip it even if they are not in range, just so I can get out of there and come back in while I'm waiting for these holes to come back in for my
But it
panels.
has to be 2 spaces that you move, correct?
Yeah, every time.
I didn't know that you can move into the enemy's space with those chips until yesterday.
Oh my
Because
gosh.
anytime that I would try to use, I would only be like 1 back on my square.
You'd step into them.
Yeah, I would step into them so it wouldn't be the full 2 squares, and I thought, I had to be at the back of mine. They had to be at the front.
That's amazing.
I didn't know until yesterday.
So
I
one of my
accidentally
favorites, and this one isn't multi-use or anything, it's actually really specific use. It's called Slasher. And basically you just hold down the A button with this chip. It's one of the only ones where you hold the button down. And the chip doesn't get used until you move or you let go of the A button, or it actually activates if an enemy comes into your area. Not that many enemies do, but if an enemy ever comes into your area, it immediately hits them for 240 damage. It's incredibly good. It's great on bosses like Beast Man, great on bosses like Proto Man. I have a Proto Man crushing folder that would put the world to shame. I use stuff like burners because he will always get in your area. If you try to attack him when he's in front of you, sometimes he'll appear behind you and try to backstab you. Probably one of my favorite fights in the whole game. Easy. And I'd use burners and I'd use slashers. And I mean, I built this incredible folder that just wrecked this incredibly difficult boss who usually is a stomper.
You talked about difficult, or you mentioned a difficult boss. There's one very particularly placed in this game that
it's
really
definitely the
threw me
step
off.
up boss.
Yes.
It's specifically, can you build a folder around a boss?
So we mentioned at the beginning that I was caught in sort of a negative feedback loop, and I finally got to Kingman, who is a very difficult boss.
Very defensive.
He's very defensive and deals a lot of damage and has 3 chess pieces that you can't kill. They don't take damage. You have to use a very particular kind of chip that will break them, but they come back like 3 seconds later.
Yeah, it's really not
anyway.
worth it to break them.
So the previous boss is when you get your first style. So I had only had that like 45 minutes to, I got the style. And maybe it's a little longer if you're really paying attention to like you're looking for everything, but it's a short amount of time is the point. Between when you get your style and when you fight Kingman. And
they even let you give a practice fight against him that doesn't count beforehand because they know he's going to be a stomper.
Yeah.
So they know it.
Anytime you see a character in the overworld, like a special character, a net battler, you can walk up to them and battle them, and it's not like a game over situation. You'll just end the battle. Oh, I lost. Whatever. Come back and fight me again another time. So you can find that guy and fight Kingman beforehand. But when you're in the competition and you have to fight Kingman, that is a game over situation. And that's what got me stuck for about 2 days. I just could not press through. And you really couldn't understand why. But there's in Higgsby's shop, a chip trader. So you can exchange chips for a new random chip. And again, I had just previously got my first style, which encouraged the sort of play style that I was going for, because that's what they do. But up to that point, I was not doing well enough to amass a collection of chips. So the ones I sold, which I wasn't using, weren't many. I didn't have enough to build a totally new deck with, because that's what I was going for, was the swords. But I traded ones that weren't being used, so I couldn't build a new deck.
Yeah.
So I was really stuck. And that difficulty spike is like a sheer cliff. And you are right. Well, I don't know, because it wasn't my experience, but I understand, I see what you're saying, that he is very intentionally placed to sort of test your mettle. Can you play the rest of this game? That said, I have not had even
close,
little bit of trouble. Even with what you said the second hardest boss was.
For me, no, I specifically said from the mainline bosses, for some reason I always struggle with Flame Man.
Oh.
But the second, and I don't think he's necessarily the hardest boss, like one of those difficulty, like there are definitely bosses, especially post game, that are just way harder.
I'm talking about
but like the mainline bosses, I always struggle with him because of my playstyle.
Oh.
I just always do.
I eviscerated.
Like I know these bosses like the back of my hand. Nick and I have beaten this game. I think this is our 6th time probably through it. I think before the last boss maybe died like 4 times. Like, and that's, I'm not saying it. It's just because I know this game. I know it really well. Tyler's experience is not unique. This is definitely a game that pushes you. I remember the first time I accidentally found Beastman version 2. We haven't talked about this, but after you beat a boss, if they're not a boss owned by another operator, if they're like an enemy boss, you can find them again in the internet, like in little dead ends. They're hiding, and you can fight their version 2, so they're stronger, faster, and have more health. And if you beat them, you get their battle chip, which is awesome. But I accidentally found him, and he stomped me. When the first time I played this game, I died. So I was so livid, especially because I didn't save as often as a kid because I'm an idiot.
Yeah, you can save literally any time. And this is actually one of the only games I can think of that doesn't have any modicum of a menu. There is start a new game or continue a game. That's it. And there's no load times. It just happens. Are you going to play the game right now? Okay. Are you going to save right now? Okay, you can.
You can straight up play it on the toilet. Just do a couple battles and...
Okay, you can do that with most things.
Yeah, but I mean, no, but this one is really conducive to that experience.
Okay.
But no, you're right. I do think Kingman, personally, for me, I do believe Kingman is one of the hardest bosses in the game. Especially if you're not counting anything post-game or final boss or anything. I'd go so far to say he's probably the hardest before Alpha. I think him or Drillman. And Drillman's easier for me because I know what to expect, but...
It still wasn't easy for me. It took me 3 tries, and I'm veteran at this game.
No, but seriously, Tyler, I think that this game, anybody who is interested in this game, and you should be, it's going to take some patience to really get your head around, because, I mean, the mechanics themselves are pretty quick. You grasp them quickly, but mastery goes deep in this game.
And honestly, I don't think it's going to take that much patience. I have very little patience.
He does.
The only time my patience has been tested, that's not true. I want to talk about the negatives with the Navi customizer, which I love. The Navi customizer.
Oh, okay? Yeah. So I'm saving the flaws to the very end.
Okay. So I have very little patience. In fact, Zach gets pretty frustrated with me a lot, and I am baffled that he has the level of patience that he does. Because I
put up with a lot.
I won't. There are better games to play than most games that I'm playing. So why continue playing that game?
You found our clip. There are better games to play than anything I'm playing right now. No, the grass is always greener.
No mistake that for me talking about Mega Man.
He immediately hates it. No, go ahead.
Correct.
I'm sorry. I'm so
Games
sorry.
are stupid. Why do people play them? Oh goodness! I'm not talking about Mega Man.
No, I totally.
I'm just talking about my general lack of patience. The point is, the only time it's been tested is with that, and that's because of the loop that I was in, not getting chips, selling chips to get better chips. The chips I got didn't work against this boss.
Yeah,
which is the hardest boss.
Yeah,
and so therefore I couldn't shift. In fact, when I finally did beat him, it was just the dumbest time I could have had.
You cheesed him for sure.
His chess pieces will move predictably. It's all a predictable pattern. It's just a really high damage output pattern. So he will never be, the boss will never be in the same row as you. And then his pawns will move as you do, so they're always in front of you. So if you can manipulate it, there'll be a quick opening. I will shoot him for literally 1 damage. Well, 1 shot. I'm dealing 8 damage per shot, or at the time it was 6. So it was a slow whittle. It's 100 shots from his 600 health. I think I was able to use 3 chips on him, maybe. But really, it was just the single shots that finally got me through. Point is, I don't think it's going to take people... It's going to require much patience from people. It's just that boss will test your mettle. So, to avoid... your patience being tested, don't sell your chips until very late game.
Yeah,
or
seriously,
don't sell anything less than 4 copies. If you have 7 copies of Shockwave, which is the first thing you can find in the wild, if you have 7 copies of Shockwave, trade 3 and get something new.
Because you can have up to 4 of the same kind of chip. Not same code, the same kind. So I can have 4 shockwaves in my deck. So I like to keep this. This is what I do every time I play now, because I learned this lesson the hard way as well. The first time I played it. I think the game could be doing a better job of helping you avoid that. Maybe a little guy standing next to it going, bro, be careful. This thing will, like, you know, maybe a destitute little drunk old man going, I lost everything to the chip trader.
Or in this case, just a small child who had traded his Lugia.
Yeah. Nick traded
holographic Lugia for a shoebox of trainers.
Are you ready?
I deserve to tell this story.
This one burns.
Here's little Nick, okay, playing his game. You get there are 5 stars possible to get in this game for different things. You know, beating the game, time trial, different. You know, starts with beating the game. The rest are post game. So they're just very big milestones.
And you need
post-game.
these 5 in order to unlock the 2 final stars of the game, the true post game, like the post like true end game.
And it's a lot. It's a lot of work. I had 3 stars. I had done a lot of work, and I had, because of these 3 stars, I got a Giga chip from one of the bosses called Base.
So yeah, so the game, because the games were pretty broken before this, every chip was the same kind. So they split it into standard chips, which are just normal everyday ones, Mega, which are just stronger chips, typically Navi chips, other boss summons and stuff.
Which you can have like 5 of in your folder?
Yeah, you can have a total of 5, and you can't have 4 of the same kind anymore. You can only have 1 of each kind. So you can have 5 of those, but you can only, each Giga chip is unique, can only be found one specific way. There are only, excluding the V5 Navi chips, only 5 in the entire game, and one you don't even get until you have done literally everything else in the whole game. You will never have a chance to get them again. You can only have 1 in your folder, unless you use this really special, really difficult, crazy negative effect program, customizer program. But seriously, these are the bread and butter. They do more damage than anything else. I just got mine. It does 550 damage and immediately hits like 4 panels. It's nuts.
It's insane. This being said, I went so innocently over to the chip trader. And I was like, I wonder if, you get better stuff for higher level chips. And I had
a logical assumption.
I had no idea that it saves your game every time that you use the chip trader.
It does?
Oh yeah.
So you can't
but it doesn't
use the chip
say
trader.
It's saving, right?
No, it just saves.
Yep. So just in case you were planning on trading your base Giga chip, it saved, and I was like, "Oh, bummer!" I turned the game off, and I got like a Shockwave 2 or something, and I turned the game off and on again, and I looked in my folder. Where'd it go? I scrolled through.
I got the sick Shockwave too.
I scrolled through. I went through my all 3 of the folders that I had. Even one of them that's static that can't change. I looked through it. I looked through all of my extra chips that I had. It was gone. I went to Zach. I was like, "Dude, it's gone." He's like, "What? You traded it? It saves." And so I stopped playing after that.
Quit. He's like,
yeah, that's a good reason to quit. Honestly, that's
it
a
took
good
me
reason to quit.
hours upon hours upon. I was a littler kid. I had to have his help for most of it, but I finally by myself beat this boss, got the chip,
and he's no pushover.
Traded it away.
I just beat him again today, and I died probably 10, 11, 12 times.
No,
it
doesn't.
doesn't.
Can't buy Giga chips
Giga
again.
chips don't count.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately. But I'm telling you, man. That's
But anyway, that is. I mean, down here in the
yeah,
flaws,
we'll talk
that
about
would be
it.
one of them.
Yeah, but I have it here. Just some mistakes can't be undone.
Yeah,
that's my final flaw in the game.
Do we want to move on to that? Or?
No, I actually have quite a bit that I want to touch on real quick, because we've talked a lot about stuff that Tyler has been happy to join in. Unfortunately, I am going to jump toward end game, post game stuff.
Yeah, dude, I don't care about.
So, you fight the internet. The actual internet is the final boss in this game.
Internet.
Yeah, it's actually really, it gets pretty cool, some of the sci-fi at the end. I like it personally, but what Alpha does is, so you have to fight Base right before him, and Base has a 100 aura. So it's not a barrier. Typically a barrier, if a barrier has 100 health and you shoot it 100 times for 1 damage, the barrier will go away. An aura will not. An aura, you have to do 100 or more damage to make it go away. At once.
At once.
Yeah.
In a moment.
So he has that, and he constantly gets it back after any special move that he does. Unless you stun him in the middle of the special move. So you have to build around him. Honestly, the first time I came back to him, I was like going, I've beaten this game a million times. Like, I'll be fine. He almost killed me. Like, I was not paying enough attention.
That's rough.
But then you get to Alpha, who has 2,000 health, a regenerating shield over his weak spot, and you can't area grab. You can't get, he takes up the entire other side of the screen. And he is rough, and my favorite thing about him is he tests your mastery of those 9 panels. He will crack certain panels that make you have to move out of his attacks in a certain way, while also considering how to keep his weak spot exposed. When he gets under half health, he'll start using moves that will, after they're done, and they're massive, huge damage moves, will immediately regenerate his weak spot all the way to full shield. Like, he is tough as nails.
And another thing along with all of those things is, he was saying the mastery of the 9 panels. Not only can you not steal his panels, some chips that you use will place things on panels to do the attack. You can't even place those things on his panels.
He'll
so you have
break
to take
a large amount of strategies.
Oh yeah, so you'll have to take up some of your space, and a lot of the things, his attacks take a wide space, so you have to be very
panels.
strategic as to where you place these things. And then he cracks panels. I kind of cheated a little bit and used air shoes.
You cheater.
Which I wasn't supposed to have at the time, but I did, which means I could just walk over them. But that just completely shatters the way that you have to play against him, and the chips that you use, and everything changes when you fight him.
We haven't mentioned this yet, but with the exclusion of one thing in Battle Network Blue that I try as much as possible not to use, your 30 chips don't regenerate. You don't keep reshuffling your deck.
I learned that the hard way.
Yeah, you don't keep reshuffling your deck. You have your 30 and you're done.
Which they put a very good limiter. You can only redraw or discard. Was it 5?
Yeah.
So you can't constantly redraw cards, or rather discard to draw more. During the entire battle, you can only discard and draw up to 5 more.
Yeah.
So that's a very smart limiter, because I would definitely, most people would probably try to just get to their big combo.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's very smart. And unlike most card games, because that's a lot of what this is doing. It's
an action card game.
It's an action card game. Most card games will let you reshuffle your deck.
Yeah, it's a really good limiter, and I hate that they have a chip in blue that breaks that and lets you immediately reshuffle, including the card that reshuffles back in. It's broken. I don't like using it. It's fun though if you're really stuck on something, just to go screw it, and you keep getting your super strong chip back.
If you just want to screw it, put on the 900 HP mode.
Oh yeah, dude, you can really break this game.
The tool that allows you to install like other pieces in the Navi customizer, like pieces from other styles, also just has general codes you can put in.
If you're not bypassing an error.
Basically cheat codes. But it's an item you have to buy to put in these cheat codes, which, can you find them around the world?
Yeah,
yes.
You can find a lot of them.
Okay, so it is a mechanic in the game.
Yeah.
It's not like you're putting in some cheat code in the start menu. It's an item and mechanic in the game. One of the codes is just 900 health, which is nuts. I used to get a guide for a lot of this game.
We'll talk about that for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a guide game.
It's a guide game. I think it was made with a guide in mind, honestly.
Yeah. Like something like Final Fantasy Tactics. I've got that guide because I could go to a website and look at spreadsheets every time I want to make a new character, which you're doing often if you just let the permadeath have its way. But having everything readily available to you to just flip through and say, okay, I need this spanning tree of skills. It's useful. So it's a guide game for sure. But these, that 900 health is nuts. I also had to really refrain from putting on that 900 health. But even, I think the 250 that I have been using, which sounds reasonable, I don't know. Well, no, it's not that it's too much. I'm just doing pretty well because
Yeah.
I don't even get very low
Of course.
often anymore.
In Battle Network 1, you would regenerate all your health after every battle.
What?
Isn't that crazy? Yeah, after playing this one, I'm like, really?
Even more reason to think that like this is such an interesting like lineage of iteration.
Yeah,
with
playing-
the first 3, I understand that the other
Sure.
4 are all doing their. The other
I
3 are all
honestly
doing their own
think
thing.
if you have the patience, because 1 is, it's rough around the edges. It really is. And 2 has its own roughness, though it's much more polished. 2 is a lot closer to 3.
I consider it vanilla 3 because it doesn't have
that's
all
fair.
the bells and whistles. It's just very, you are Mega Man going through this game with not a ton of like special ability things.
It's really good, and I do like 2, but if you have the patience, it is incredible to watch them, because they did all of this in 2 years, 1 through 3. In 2 years.
And they made the first 2 in 2 years or 1 year, right? And then
Yeah, they
this
came out
one
in the
took a
same year, and then this one took a year. Yeah, it's crazy, especially to see the difference between 1 and 2 alone is absolutely incredible. This team knows what they're doing.
Yeah. And it really, just from like again, this is the only one I've played. This seems like such a good example of iterative design. I think if it was a larger team, a larger budget game, from any other studio today, we would have gotten 3 from the beginning, because 1 sounds like more of just a proof of concept.
It really
And
feels
2
like that,
is
yeah.
probably what they would have brought to playtesters, and 3 is what likely would have gone to market. So it's interesting. This is probably cheap design.
It's very
especially
low
moving
budget.
on from 1, because a lot of this is recycled.
A lot of the assets are reused. I think Mr. Match, he's Flame Man's operator.
Yeah.
He's in all 3. He's in 1, 2, and 3, and I know he's in 6 as well. I don't know if he's in 4. I really just have very little experience with 4 on purpose.
You keep saying that you don't like it. Honestly, that seems like 4 and 5 are the most interesting to me.
5 for sure. Let me just do you a favor. Skip 4. I promise. The New Game Plus alone is...
just do 4 after
Well,
5.
I was going to say this till the end, but I'll go ahead and talk about Transistor now.
Okay.
Because this is a pretty beefy game. You've played this game 6 times. You're right at the end of the game, right?
So
I'm at the end of post game.
No, I'm about halfway through post game probably. So
Okay, at 40 hours.
for anyone who, I'm at 40, probably 45 hours now. I have gotten all the 200 standard chips in my library. I've beaten Serenade and I've beaten base GS.
Which are some bosses, I guess.
They're the big bad post game bosses. I have now cleared all the big bad post game bosses before you do the final refight with every boss at their max level, basically. So all I have left right now before that moment is time trials and getting every single mega chip.
Okay, so even on your 6th playthrough, you are nearing the end of the post game, and you got 45 hours in it. This is a beefy game.
It's a big boy.
That
It took me...
invites a lot of replayability.
Yeah, it took me 20 hours to clear the main game.
Okay.
Without having beaten it 6 times already.
If everything we're talking about sounds interesting, but you don't have the time to invest, because I don't actually think it's
or an
going...
ability to emulate, or a Game Boy.
Sure. Yeah, it is a 20-year-old game. You can play Transistor on the Switch for $2.50 once a month. It's
Own 4 hours.
Own it. It's 4 hours. I've played that game 6 times because that's conducive to my lifestyle, the size of games I like to play. If I'm going somewhere, now that I have a Switch, Transistor's coming with me. Because I can, from here to Dallas, I can beat that game twice at this point. But it offers such a huge variety of replayability like this game does.
For sure.
But,
and the systems intermingle so well. And they each play off of each other. You're rewarded for creative thinking.
The last playthrough that I did...
We have an episode on it. Check it out.
Definitely. The 6th time I played that game, I really started looking at the chips that you activate to make the game harder, but you get a little more experience. One of those I found plays with some of the chips you have. Not chips, I guess, the attacks. So to end a battle, you have to pick up these little cells. After you kill an enemy, they drop a cell. You have to go get it, or they'll regenerate. And it'll be 100% health, that enemy again. So one of the modifiers you can activate gives you like 4% extra experience, but has enemies drop 2. If you have, there's an attack that allows you to call all of those things and have them be your little buddies that just run around the field attacking people. So I have that on. I would activate that 8 times if I was able to, but walk into a huge battle, I kill a few people, but their 2 cells now just become my buddies. And then I throw a dog out, and I have something else that clones the dog. So now I just stand back and let everybody do the work for me. It's so great. But it's inviting that sort of replayability. So if you're not able to jump into something as meaty as Mega Man 3, or just currently don't have a way to play it, that's a great option.
Absolutely.
Mega Man Battle Network 4 sounds like that for me.
I don't know, man. I would invite anyone watching to shoot a comment. If you're listening on a podcast, shoot a message on Twitter. Please save Tyler. Please save him from Battle Network 4.
I'm not going to play it anytime soon if I ever play it. If I play another Battle Network, 5 will be the one I play if I play another one.
Yeah, I think 5 is where you should go. For anyone watching who hasn't played these and has the patience, though, 1, 2, 3 is such an enlightening and interesting experience.
Sounds like it.
Anybody who has played these and likes 4, let us know as well. Tell us why.
Yeah,
we can play it again.
And unsubscribe.
No.
Just kidding. I want to hear from you.
No, for real. I agree with you, Nick. I would like to be challenged on that. In fact, since we're here, I'd like to go deeper in the post game, talk about time trials and stuff. But real quick, I mean, since we've talked about it so much, how would you? Because we've played through all 6. How would you rank the 6 Battle Network games?
Oh goodness!
And we don't do objective
prepared.
best rankings here. That's dumb. We just what I like. My favorite games in the world have countless flaws. I just love them because of what they do well.
And I think that's the best favorite games. Is things
for
that
sure.
Other people might definitely probably 100% not choose.
Because it's Tetris.
Correct.
Yeah. I would say obviously 3.
3 is a top 5 game for both of us.
It's my first.
Yeah, it's your number 1.
It's been my first since probably my 3rd playthrough. I didn't really understand it the first 2, but my 3rd playthrough, it was my first.
It's right up there for me.
And then Battle Network 6, probably mostly because of nostalgia, but also it's just the fun end of Mega Man Battle Network.
You can go Beast Out. That's this little guy right here, or we have here's another Beast Out for the other version. You just unleash hell.
It's amazing.
Is that one on DS?
No, just 5, unfortunately, which is weird.
Yeah, that is
strange.
odd.
Maybe they planned to do 5 and 6, and we just never did 6 because Star Force was out. I don't know.
I actually thought Star Force was the 3DS.
No, they don't have a 3DS. They just have Star Force 1, 2, and 3. And I've never played Star Force 3. I just bought it from a really awesome guy on Reddit. So I'm excited to finally play that soon. But anyway, I'm sorry. So 3 and 6, which is actually my top 2 as well.
3, 6, probably 2.
Okay.
And then 5, and then 1, and then 4.
Okay. I think it's pretty similar to me. For me, it's 3, 6, 5, 2, 1, 4. And really, 1 is a really cool game. I like it a lot. It's just some of those dungeons, quote unquote, are excruciating. Otherwise, I might put it above 2, honestly.
It's rough.
Just because of some of the crazy stuff you can do in there. But that's good. That's a good list. We're pretty close on that one.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about, so there's 2, so to get the boss's battle chips, you have when you fight their final version, well, not their final version, but their main final version in the game. They have a version 1, a version 2, a version 3, and then a super version that is only it's the last thing you do in the whole game is fight their super version. Like, that's how you 100% the game. But usually you're just fighting their version 3. And depending on the rank you get in the battle, which is determined on how much damage you take and how fast you finish the battle. To get an S, you have to take no damage. and you have to beat them in usually 20 seconds or less, sometimes 30 seconds or less. And depending on how well you do, you'll get their version 1 chip, version 2 chip, or version 3 chip, doing more damage each iterative version. If you are in team style and you beat them in under 20 seconds with an S rank, you get their version 4 chip, otherwise only attainable through bug frag traders and a couple other chip traders and stuff.
Bug frag is another currency in this game.
Yeah, which we didn't talk about, but if you counter an enemy, so you kill them right before they attack, you get a bug frag. If you beat 2 enemies and counter them, you get 3. Basically, bug frags are your way to get your first Giga chip. It's how you fight some of the late game bosses. They're pretty important. So, or the post game bosses. So they're pretty important, and you get them through countering. Another cool little system. There's just so much to talk about this game.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a lot.
But it is very accessible.
And well integrated and very clearly communicated, at least.
There's a few things.
No, I was about to say, the overall format of everything is clearly communicated. Unfortunately, there are some translation issues. But no, so basically you have free reign with your folder. You can attack these guys with whatever you have at your disposal at the time, and you're trying to beat them as fast as possible. Sometimes you're trying to beat them slowly, so you get exactly that rank 7, so you get their version 1 chip or something. That's totally doable as well. So for me, that's fun because what that's testing is your ability to make an absolutely bomb folder for that boss. How fast can you beat them while taking no damage? And then after you beat base GS, which is after you get all 200 standard chips, fight Serenade, and you fight base GS, you get his Giga chip. Then you have the time trials, which is where you fight the version 2 of every normal boss in the game, but you have to use static predefined folders. And these are introduced early on in the game, and you get to use them before the 4th boss. And you have to pick a static predefined folder from someone and use it to beat the next boss in the tournament. This comes back really late post-game, and you have to use a predefined folder to beat a version 2 boss in a specific set of time. Depends on the boss how fast that is, but it's almost always under a minute. It's very fast, and these folders don't have these incredibly powerful chips like you have. Granted, it's a lower version of the Navi, but it is tough as nails. And a lot of people have trouble they don't like the time trials because you can't build your folder. But for me, I feel like it would just be the same thing as what you're doing when you're trying to collect all the mega chips, trying to get every boss Navi chip for that post-game star. So you have the post-game star for getting all the battle chips, all the mega chips rather, from beating all the bosses with your own folder. And now it's testing not your ability to build a folder, but your ability to beat the boss and be able to know from your selection of predefined folders which ones will be most efficient for beating it, and then implementing that strategy that's not entirely your own. It's the overall mechanics and systems of the game that are being tested, your mastery of those things instead of your mastery of the folder building. And I think it works really well.
And even the mastery of the movement and mechanics of the person you're fighting. Because each one is incredibly different. So, I mean, with Flame Man, he has these 2 candles. They have 3 different, if they're lit different colors, they'll do different things, and you have to shoot them out. So sometimes you'll want to build a folder with a lot of really small damage chips and big damage chips so that you can knock out those candles.
Boomers, man.
It does the job. Just clears them both out. But you want to be able to clear those out and be able to hit him with big damage. So you can do that pretty easily, being able to build your folder. Just make sure you have water chips that do a lot of damage to him, and smaller chips that can take out
the
those 2.
Program Advance. We haven't even talked about Program Advances.
Oh, goodness.
I still haven't.
It's a big one. But each boss you would have to choose a different folder, and you would have to know them so that if you're hit, then it staggers you, which is just a loss of more time. And you can't die. That would also make you lose it. And they are pretty hard bosses, especially later you go in the time trials. But you have to know the movements of each of these people so that you can be most efficient with your time and your chips and the folder that you chose. further mastery of the game, of your tiles,
And on top of that, you get
mechanics.
to bring. You can still get to do your Navi customizer. You bring in whatever you've customized in.
That is also true.
So knowing that for that specific boss and whatever folder you picked, it's just another form of mastery that it's testing, and I love it. That's good game design.
It's very good. There's a lot going on here for such a seemingly small package.
Yeah.
It's a pretty beefy game.
Yeah, that's really the only other thing I have here is until we talk about the flaws is the I guess the program advances, which we didn't touch on. Just real quick, you can select a certain number of chips. Usually it's like if you have cannon A, B, and C, and you select them in that order, you then get access to Z cannon. It's basically 5 seconds of invincibility where you have a double damage cannon. Some of them are as boring as that. Some of them are like Slasher B, Custom Sword V, B, Var Sword B, and Proto Man B, and you get this crazy 700 damage attack.
That is pretty nuts. Now, do they like combine, or do you also get to use them?
No, they combine into one chip. That you use, and it doesn't like stay that way in your folder forever. It's just for that moment.
For the battle.
They combine.
Yeah, I haven't used it yet.
Definitely try it out, man.
I mean, you've got a sword folder. You got access. You can.
But he's not using sword, wide sword, or long sword.
What kind of sword? How
He's
far
using
is
all
he?
the elemental swords.
Oh yeah, he's a lot further than I
I've got
remember.
Cross swords. So cross step. Cross slash. What's the
Step cross?
Step cross. That's it. Step sword and step cross.
Yeah.
I've got the elemental swords that are wide, Hero Blade, which is long.
I love Hero Blade.
Hero Blade's so good. It got me my quickest kill in
You should
0.26 seconds.
So you can, like we were saying, you can find the version 2 versions of a lot of the boss navis hidden somewhere on the net. They're usually in a dead end. You should look up where Plant Man is hiding in Undernet 4, I believe. Just look up where he is, because that way when you beat him, no matter what rank you get his chip, and it's in code P.
Oh yeah,
and it basically
amazing.
it does. It's so good. So it does 20 damage and hits 3 times. So it only does 60 damage, but then it holds them there in vines for like a full 4-5 seconds, and it does 30 more damage each hit, basically.
Yeah. So if you can, and this is great, that the amount of time seems minuscule, but if you time that at the end of your turn recharge, so you go into the custom screen where you can pick a new hand. If you time that at the end of that custom recharge, the timer doesn't go away. So immediately I can go and pick an entirely new hand of swords to just wail on them with, and you're releasing like 1.5 swords per second. So it's a lot.
And each turn's about 10 seconds, so it's, yeah, absolutely. There's a lot you can do here. And, Bam Sword, the wood element sword, doesn't put bosses in invulnerability, but it still stuns them. It just a bunch of little tiny, mechanics that go into that there's a lot to master there. And I could talk about it for so many more hours, and we don't have those. So let's just real quick talk about the flaws, because I am willing and eager to acknowledge that there are things that can improve.
Many, many things.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. There's actually not much that I can think
There's a bunch of small tweaks I'd like to make. For example, I would like to have Navi Customizer presets, because it's kind of a pain.
Yeah.
One thing that's nice in later games is you can press a button and it'll pull everything out for you automatically.
That's an oversight for sure.
Yeah, like they
talk
fixed
about
that
another
next.
oversight, but having presets, because my biggest complaint about this game would benefit greatly.
So let's talk
from a
about that one,
preset.
because I do have it here. I basically have it as energy converter missions and press.
Yeah. So there are two things that you do. Well, one thing that you do regularly, just for general traversal of the environment, and one thing that you have to do in 2 specific parts in the game that are just dumb. And they're
He's not wrong.
inconsistent. If this was a bigger part of the game, if the game was about exploration, then it would be interesting. And you say it's interesting. It's an interesting idea. I think that's true. Not for this game though. For a different version.
I just
of this
think even
game.
for this game, but we can talk about that.
So press allows you to walk on small platforms.
And you have to put it in Navi Customizer.
Yes, which is taking up very valuable space.
Yeah, every single tile in there is absolutely vital to whatever build you're going for.
So press allows you to walk on. It compresses your data.
You become a zipped Navi.
Yeah, exactly. Mega Man's a computer file. So
Megaman.zip.
Exactly. And you can walk on small platforms. But you have to do that to progress through the game, to get to new areas, to find waypoints for your missions. You have to do that. It has no other function. So
no battle function or anything.
Exactly. So there's really no reason this shouldn't be just a key item.
And
unless there was other things you could do with mixing traversal and the Navi customizer. If it wasn't a one-off, I wouldn't think of it as such a negative.
So where I saw where they were going. They wanted you to take up that valuable space in there for the duration, because it is valuable space and they want to challenge what you're building, and they don't want you to just be able to have the same thing in there. Unfortunately, this thing is not just like a one area thing. Like if it was just like one area to get to a boss, I could see it working, because then you're sacrificing those 3 valuable tiles as part of progressing to the boss. I can totally understand that. Unfortunately, it comes back all the way into the post game. To get to the bug frag trader and base, you have to go over this dumb thing. So I have to equip it, walk over, go back, and unequip it. Again, precepts would make it totally irrelevant, basically. But
it would be more interesting to me. It would be an actually interesting choice if maybe some of these sort of platforms required you to walk on different kind of terrain, and maybe you could change part of the overworld terrain with a Navi customizer chip like you can do in battle, but because it is a one-off mechanic, not that it happens once, but it has no function anywhere else.
Correct.
Because it's a one-off, and the Navi customizer is so important and vital to gameplay, I really think it's a poor decision.
What do you think, Nick?
I agree. I like what Tyler said. It would have been much better off as a key item, something you just get at that point in the game instead of having to take up that space, unless it had other uses. What I usually do is when I'm not using it directly, I just replace it with undershirt, because it's the exact same shape, color,
and size.
It's a solid color as well as they're both the exact same, so it's easily swapped out.
It is easily swapped, but it's a big oversight.
It's also a pretty big inconvenience. I don't have undershirt on anymore. Post game, I go so many places. I don't want to keep going into my Navi customizer, mainly because you can save in an instant. You can turn off and turn on the game in an instant. Start the game in an instant. You have to run each time and go through Mega Man saying,
it takes longer.
Good job, Lan. Would you like to exit the Navi customizer? Which is like, 5 seconds?
It takes longer to do that than completely reboot the system.
Yeah, exactly.
Because really, I already mentioned this. It is from the start screen to in-game in like half a second. Yeah. There is no menu. There's no options. There's no delete save file. It's new game continue. That's it. There's no options in the game either. You can't affect the sound, or if you want to exit the game, there's nothing.
The only thing keeping you from getting into the game is listening to that baller title soundtrack. Which I just sometimes sit there and do.
Enough. It is my ringtone.
Yes, and his text tone is the little email. It's amazing. But following off of that, there's another key item. We'll call it that, a key item Navi customizer part. There's actually 2 more, but the black mine doesn't matter. It's just for one time and you're done and it's over. It's not that important. Okay. The other one is called energy converter, and it is, in my opinion, the biggest blemish on otherwise in near perfect game for me.
Because it's all of those things and something much more.
So in order to progress through Plant Man's dungeon, you get this energy changer piece, and what it does is you do have to install it in your customizer, which sucks. You don't have to reinstall it all the time like you do with Press.
Yeah, because it's only here and then
one other section of the game. Yeah.
So
and which is a benefit there, but it's far worse because you have to sacrifice a fire battle chip to burn up a tree blocking your way or a vine on the ground hiding the teleporter or the button to progress through this dungeon. And sometimes it is pure random luck. Like, if you don't have a guide, you're going to be burning a lot of these things. And
there's so many. And I did look at a guide. Because there's
every time
so
I
many.
get here.
In fact, one of the areas is there's like 4 or 6 platforms around this larger platform, each with a different number of vines, and there's a switch under one of those vines on 3 different platforms. One of the platforms has like 9 to 12 vines. I think it's 4x3. There's no button under that, so you could try to burn all of those and go through 12
And they try to give you hints with these programs, but they're vague. It might be a translation problem. I don't know. They often don't help.
Yeah.
And seriously, I get the idea, to use up the chips that will help you against that boss. But the problem is, I don't use up my chips. I have to sit there and grind for more of them.
Yeah.
Because it is so many that you need.
It's a lot.
And it doesn't even help because by the time you get to Plant Man, he is one of the jokest bosses in the game.
Yeah.
If not he's a pushover. It's like him and Flashman are pushovers.
At the beginning. At the beginning.
Yeah, I think Flashman gets harder, but Plant Man stays pretty easy, in my opinion. Plant Man's a joke.
So I don't think this would be as big of an... So this is way bigger than Press for me, because again, that loop I was in the beginning where I wasn't good enough to regularly get chips. To get chips from enemies, you have to defeat them in record time or kill multiple enemies with a single attack. And I wasn't wrapping my head around that well enough, or just my deck was maybe the cards in my deck were a little too disparate. And so I was trying to build a play style. And I wasn't just going for the easy guns. I wanted to build a deck, because that's what I love deck building games. And it just wasn't coming easy. So, I didn't have a surplus of water and fire chips.
So, I'm really good at this game now. And I ran out of fire chips. It's so dumb.
And there's no other time. So this is a much bigger blemish than Press, because there's no other time that your chips are used as a resource other than your willful trading of those chips.
Sure.
But in game as a resource that is needed to progress, there's no other time that it's done. And they're so vital. Even at that point, by the time you get to Fireman, or is that his name?
Flame Man.
Even by the time you get there.
Fireman's the first boss in Megaman Battle Network 1.
Oh.
Yeah. Operated by the same guy.
I see. Anyway, there's no guarantee that you'll have a surplus of these items. And if you want to build a new deck, you need to keep those items, those chips. So if they were able to make a game that was more focused on... if they wanted to make a game that was more focused on environmental traversal and interplay between overworld and in battle, then it would be interesting. Here, I think it's a huge negative.
I agree.
Those chips.
I think that energy change moment is the biggest blemish on the game. I think because it's Plant Man, and then to a lesser extent the Flame Man part.
Yeah, that's easy because there's 3 in every area of the 4 main places you've been. So a total of...
So there's a set amount that you have to put out.
24. I think there's 24 that you have to put out.
Yeah, and it's very much... it is a set number. Yeah. It is not like guessing where the panel is or anything.
There are 3 flames in each area. Go put them out. But the other place... In that one portion with the vines I told you, there's something like probably close to 50 vines, only 3 of which have a button underneath. Without a guide, that is inexcusable.
Which leads into the next flaw, and maybe it's not a flaw so much on the game itself, because I believe it was designed this way, is it's a guide game. If you're playing this for the first time, get a guide. The deeper mechanics are often a lot of trial and error. You might not like find them on your own, or you won't find them for hours and hours and hours. Go ahead.
No, I mean you're probably getting there. I'll let you talk before Okay. As far as hours and hours and hours go, by get a guide he means game FAQs.
Yeah,
not,
basically.
Not because the guide is like what,
$200.
$200
That's
now.
so expensive.
Yeah.
Which
I like getting guides for
spend money
games
on.
like this. Like Final Fantasy Tactics is like $80. I found some sucker that had it for $7 on eBay.
If you're that sucker, we still love you. In fact, we love you more for it.
Much more. You just didn't do your research, man. Didn't do your due diligence. Okay, and I capitalized.
Somebody tells me he's not watching podcasts like this. Anyway,
but I for some reason feel like I'm better than that and will not look for a guide until 30 minutes into looking for something. There is, I mean, just to name one of them, a part in this game where you come up to one of these navis that you have to get his rank for something, and he says something like,
he gives you a riddle.
he gives you a riddle, something about a bird, and that's all I remember. And he doesn't. That's it. He doesn't. I think he says something in the overworld to make it a little bit easier. So it's with Lan, you have to run around and find.
And I
bird.
went without a guide for an hour. And I've beaten this game 6 times.
It's ridiculous. So bird, and so you think, I'm gonna go to the zoo.
I'm going to go to the zoo. That's
There's
exactly
a zoo in
what
this
I
game.
did.
So you go over there. There's a condor. Look at the nothing. Go over to his comp. Nothing.
Do you have to go to the park?
And then
Just you wait.
Just you wait. Keep note of this in
you
case you
wait.
continue.
Listen, I'm going to use a guide, period.
Okay, good.
So it doesn't
Sure.
matter.
So you go everywhere. You go back to in a previous mission where you had found the condor somewhere. It is at the hospital. You go into a room.
In the hospital, not outside. It's not a beach. The hospital's on a beach.
In the hospital, you go to the wall, to a stool with this glob of color above it. You click A, and it says, origami birds. Land grabbed an origami bird.
You can't even see that it's a bird.
So you have to have gone over and read the
read it
description.
and paid attention to the description. Usually I'll click something and just hit B because I want to go, is there an HP memory hidden here? Is there a Reg Up hidden in here?
So, I mean, there are just things like that. I don't know if it's lost in translation or...
No, that doesn't seem like translation because how would you...
Well, some of the issues could definitely
Sure.
could be. But this
no,
one in
you're
particular,
totally
I
right.
can't see it. But, sometimes it's lost in translation. Sometimes it's just so vague that you need a guide or you
There are
need
some
to
pretty
play the
vague
game
things.
very long time.
And on top of that, there's a lot of depth to what do I do once I finish the game? What should I be focusing my efforts on? How should I be spending my time? Because the post game here is one of the most rewarding post games of any game I've ever played. The depth, the amount of content, how it challenges you.
How fun it is.
It's a blast. I never feel like I'm aimlessly trying to collect everything. Because when you get all of those chips, you get a new boss. And when you get all of this thing, now you have a new boss or a new challenge, right? It's really well designed. So, and it's the post game's longer than the main game.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's huge. It's massive. And it would be a shame if you missed it because, you finished the game, you're like, okay, I'm done. So it's definitely...
Unfortunately, I don't foresee myself really diving in that much.
We'll get you... I might be able to get you through... The most interesting stuff.
We'll do a Megaman Battle Network 3 post-game episode.
But just save my file, and we'll come back
It'd be so
next
hard to
year
come
for
back.
Megaman Battle Network 3 postgame.
That'd be tough. I mean, but it's that big of a game that you totally could. But yeah, that's definitely something that I would suggest is go through with a guide, and they help too with getting your head around the combat and getting your head around how styles work and what you should be thinking about. It's good stuff. I think you should definitely pay attention there if you're going to be playing this game for the first time or 10th time. Busy work, side quests, the overworld at times can feel like I love exploring and I love going to a new area, but there's some backtracking, padding going on. There definitely is, and I get it. It's a budget title. I totally get why it's there. I can accept that, but I can also acknowledge that it is a detriment to the game. A lot of the job board stuff is pretty repetitive, fetch questy stuff. thank God you'd at least have a bunch of combat.
And that's also totally optional. I've only done like 2.
Yeah, it definitely is optional.
It's optional, but it's really rewarding. It gives you one of them is the upgrade to the space that you get in your Navi customizer.
I was gonna do it earlier today, but I figured I should just try to press on.
And another reason for a guide: see what you want and do those quests.
Yeah.
If you're not willing to put in the time for everything.
But usually they are like one of them is 10,000 zennies.
I'm so glad to hear you say that.
Another one is
You're worth a million zennies to me, Tyler.
Oh, thanks. And then like a reg up to I think like 2 health ups. So
one of them gives you 30 bug frags. That's a lot of bug frags.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, like the most expensive stuff is like 200, right?
Yeah.
So 30 is a pretty good chunk.
I mean, to fight one of the post-game bosses, you need to spend 300 in a specific place. So,
goodness.
Yes.
But you get crazy chips for doing so.
It's incredible.
It's awesome
incredible
stuff. So, real quick, the last thing I have here on my notes for flaws is something Nick mentioned. Some mistakes cannot be undone. And that's, maybe not an objective flaw. You could argue that a lot of games have things like that. I do think the game could do a better job of explaining to you, the poor, drunk, destitute man trading his chips.
Because there's a kid next to it who says, "This is the chip trader."
You should use all of your chips here. He's paid by Higsby. Higsby pays him there.
Well, Higsby's a drug dealer anyway.
He's so sketchy.
So he's very sketchy.
He's a bad guy in the first game, too.
Interesting. So he is pretty sketchy, but he asks you, like that's just exasperated by the fact that he asks you to go get payment for a chip. So the first time you meet him, you have to go through this little side quest. You do a couple chores for him. He asks you to go get payment for this chip. By any means necessary.
He straight up says by any means necessary.
And so you go and you delete this Navi to get the payment. So you gotta fight like a mini boss or something and to get the payment. And you delete this Navi and then you go give it to him. He's like, "Wow, you're pretty good at this. You should be what does he say? Like you should be like a chip enforcer or something."
I don't know, but he's
basically like, "Wow, you're good at dealing drugs.
Strong-arming people."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone such as myself could use your talents, boy.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, and then there's some other questionable moments.
There really are.
Which we shan't mention here.
Yeah, just pay really close attention to Kingman's operator's dialogue.
Yes.
It's interesting.
Goodness, what are you doing, stepmom?
Yeah, it's
like
amazing.
that level.
So... Real quick, does anybody have anything they want to finish out? I think we got a pretty comprehensive.
Well, I still have about 3 hours of content to speak about.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
Me
what's going
too.
on, man?
We'll lay that down.
Yeah.
We'll lay that down for
I'm
now.
just glad you got to come. I know Nick's been really busy with life lately, so he usually stays behind the scenes, so it's nice to have him up here where he belongs, talking about a game that's really special. But if that's everything, I want to end real quick with a shout out to a wonderful Redditor who provided all of our footage. It's TDOzero. He's the best. And that's all I have to say about that. No, seriously, you'll see. We should credit his name around all of our borders for our footage here. Definitely appreciate him immensely. This could not have happened on this scale without him. One of us would have had to emulate the game probably.
Very inconvenient.
Yeah, because it's definitely built for that little Game Boy.
I wouldn't have been able to finish for sure if I was having to do that.
So, and you couldn't have done the Simon Says stuff because that's rough. So
I mean, it's rough anyway. Playing on so I was also playing on an SP, or even honestly, the Analog Pocket has a similar form factor. Like all the buttons are in the same place, so I probably would have had an equally hard time. But my fat sausage hands just weren't doing it. I had to like hold the Game Boy like this just to be able to press all those buttons. You have to put 90 inputs in a minute to
99.
Oh well, so there's one that's 60, one that's 90, and I guess one that's 99, which I haven't found yet.
that's the big boy.
And it's rough. I spent way too much time. I don't get it. I do wanna mention one. Well, we'll sort of step back a moment.
Okay.
To the overworld. You mentioned again that might require a little patience, and I definitely see where you're coming from, but again, coming from someone who doesn't even know what patience is, honestly, the overworld's fine.
And it's pretty small. Like, you can make your way to where you need to go really fast. There's a bus system, and you find... One of my favorite things about the exploration is you have that mental map down. You know where your jack-in points are. You know where you want to get, where you want to get.
I don't have all the jack-in points memorized. I just go from my room to the bus station. It's such a quick walk.
No, it totally is. And his walk looks so cute, yo.
A quick run.
Yeah.
I don't want to look at that.
His little walk animation, he like kicks his legs out with incredibly violent force.
It's really weird.
Just make sure you're always running. That's the solution to that problem, to that flaw.
Another like potential oversight.
Okay.
I don't really know what the purpose might be here, but why do you need 4 individual chips per deck? You can only have 2 decks. Why not allow for that overlay?
Oh yeah, Tyler and I were talking about this. He wants to be able to use, because I like Invis and I only have 2 of them right now, and if I switch between my 2 folders, I have to swap them every time. So
go put some useless something in place of the deck he was using and put invisible in the other deck.
And it's while a minor pain, it's enough of a pain to be
it just
like...
seems like kind of an oversight.
Yeah, it's an oversight. That's another little, again, a nitpick that you can clean up that could have made this thing even better, So...
But if there's some reason... Like a legitimate reason.
The only thing that I can even think about is the idea that it wants you to... it's encouraging you to diversify. To, hey, don't just keep using that stuff.
Yeah,
but some of it is so key.
Yeah, there's staples, because you're not going to do that anyway. By default, I'm not going to try to build a, stun, air, and cannon deck, but also go put my swords in it. I have my sword deck for that.
Sure.
So sort of by default, you're going to do that anyway.
For sure.
But you've got the couple of health upgrades, maybe a panel out or 2, and invisible. Copy damage. If you're trying to grind, you got to have it. Just a few staples that are probably going to go in any deck, which is true of any card game. You've always got those staples. It just seems like a silly oversight.
Yep. I agree. But, again, all of this is such small potatoes. Like, incredibly small potatoes on a plate of a beautiful, perfect Wagyu steak.
It's incredibly special to me, to you, and maybe not special in the same way to you,
I'm glad I played it.
It is, you can see at least why we love it still and can play it.
Yes. Now maybe I can get you to play Transistor.
I'd love to play Transistor.
Nick's,
I haven't been able to play a game in so long that when I had time, you guys asked me to play this game.
I know.
Which took away like 60 hours of my life.
Thank God it's this game.
Not that many, but...
If you do ever play it, though,
I have it
twice.
I have it ready.
Play it twice.
I have it ready. If it's anything
Switch.
like Hades, I will play it 7 times.
It's much shorter than Hades.
No, but it definitely has some things that, we talked about this, that I would probably recommend to most people because of the reason they liked Hades. I'd recommend Transistor to them over Pyre, Bastion. Anyway, off topic. TDOzero is a hero. He just is. Huge thanks to the Battle Network subreddit overall. You guys are totally fantastic. I love hanging out with you guys. Really just, it's a small community, relatively, and because of that, you get a lot of benefits that you don't from other bigger communities. So I love being a part of you guys. You're always ready to step in and help out. And hey, happy anniversary. We love you, Battle Network. You're the best.
Love you.
We love you.
20 years. That's exciting.
Yep, so real quick, just want to wrap up. Make sure to check out our Discord. We talk about stuff like this all the time. We'd love to have your input. We just love to hear more about what you have to say about these games. Discord's the best way to do that because it's through a $2 Patreon tier. That makes sure we kind of keep that community a little small, hopefully more like that Battle Network subreddit. And we just love to have you there. But we also have Twitter, Instagram, and make sure, give us a little shout out, like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff.
Definitely. We'll be back in just a few minutes for, I guess it'll be a matter of seconds for you, but to talk about the last episode of Hitman 2016, the Hokkaido?
Hokkaido, I think.
The last, I keep saying episode, the last level there, and a big send-off because we'll be taking a break. We'll have some other content coming out.
Yeah, some fun announcements. So definitely skip.
Yeah.
If you don't not interested in Hitman, just make sure to skip to the end of the video. Check that stuff out. We got some cool stuff coming down the pipeline.
Yeah. But thanks for joining us thus far, and we'll see you again in a minute.
Yep. Bye. Welcome back to the Unpatched Gaming Podcast, where we are ready to talk about the final episode in the 2016 Hitman.
Absolutely, the adventures, as you put it,
The continuing
of John
adventures
Hitman.
of John Hitman. This time, unfortunately, was the only time I was unable to play it with my buddy Justin. I had to play it on my own lonesome. Just been busy
Sad
with
day.
work
Truly.
and such. But I did have a lot of fun. I personally consider this to be the best level from the 2016 game.
It's very good. I don't know if I'd say it's the best, because unfortunately I only got to play it once. I started out these 2 weeks. It's the first thing I did. The next morning after our previous episode, I woke up early. I played through it. I was like, great. Now I'll start Mega Man, and I'll play this like 3 or 4 more times throughout the 2 weeks. No, that didn't happen at all, because as we've discussed, I didn't quite finish Mega Man, even though I really tried to push through it. So just one run for me.
Yep.
But it was a lot of fun. Definitely. Some really creative moments.
Yeah, and I think you pointed this out before I even had a chance to play it. Just some really odd little kill moments, quote unquote, that I found really, really delightful. So just starting out, it's set in Japan, Hokkaido, I believe, and it's absolutely gorgeous mountain on this like top-notch, super slick, sci-fi looking research facility, but like combined with almost a spa, like a day spa for really, really rich people.
Yeah, it's a hospital for the 0.01%, and
They'll do like controversial, illegal. Procedures on them
we'll
and
get
stuff.
you the heart that you need by any means necessary. And so your last target, there's 2 targets, his lawyer and him. He was running the facility, what is your organization?
ICA?
The ICA, yeah. He was running the ICA, or is like some high up, and he compromised the ICA. So you're taking him out, sending a message to the people that he was working for, and he's currently due for a heart transplant. And you can do a few things. What I did accidentally, I just came upon it. I didn't mean to. I thought I was gonna like disable
Same for me, man. The same thing happened.
Robotic surgery arms, but I was down in the basement, and there's some like fog pouring out from under this door. I'm like, oh, interesting. They're keeping some things on ice in there. I wonder what they could be keeping on ice. And you walk in, and just on this like shining pedestal, like it's like
a significant key item in an Uncharted game.
Yes. It's just waiting there for you. His heart, the heart that he's here for, in a trash can next to it. And so you reach in, you grab it, and squish it,
You call him out,
and just throw it in the trash can.
and like the
It's
blood
incredible.
sprays against the wall. Easily the most satisfying moment in the whole game for me.
It's way up there. And the lawyer, the lawyer, I dressed as her yoga instructor.
Oh, I didn't do
And
this one.
See, I wish it was a little more satisfying, because you talked about the massage from the Swedish guy, and how you just snap his neck. Now, you're doing yoga on this cliff, and you're supposed to go through this whole set with her, and you're behind her, and you keep doing motions and slowly stepping forward, and finally you can just push her off the cliff.
Sure.
What I thought was going to happen, because I'm just a pretty sadistic person, I see a straw and I'm like, wow, you could definitely do some damage with that. So I thought it was going to be a little more sadistic than it was. You just push her off once you finish the set, or get to the end of the set, and I thought they were going to like practice some stretches, and he was just going to like as she's like on her stomach, stretching her legs over her back, he's just gonna like break her, which is too much. It's not something that he has really done before, but for some reason that's where my mind went, and I was a little disappointed, I must admit.
That's amazing. I did the one where she wants to eat. This is my favorite way that I finished her off. Is she wants to try that really dangerous fish, and I prepared it for her, and you're just standing there and you're like, ma'am, I think you should try this one. And she goes, you finally came around. Thank you so much. She's like, oh, this is delightful. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. And you just sit there and watch her, and she just struts away. I've beaten the system. I'm so rich. And in a pure middle class sense of catharsis, she collapses to her knees and dies. It was really nice. That was a good one.
What do you remember what that fish is called? I'm drawing a blank myself.
No, it's totally gone.
I draw blanks all the time, as we've come to know.
It's gone, but it was really fun, and you go in there and prepare it, and you have to sneak past these two chefs, and I wanted one of their outfits, so I didn't have anything, because my favorite part about this level is, unlike every other one, you start out with nothing. And I really liked that.
You can get, I think, a pair of scissors.
Yeah, I found a pair of scissors in the bathroom.
That's about it.
And I really liked that. I thought, there's a kind of bonus level, 2 of them, in Metal Gear Solid 5, where you go back to do a level you've done before, but it's called Subsistence, and it drops you in with nothing. And you have to get everything yourself and complete the mission. It's extremely fun. I think it really, brings a new spin and a new challenge on the game. Now, I've gone back and myself just done missions that way, even though they don't call to be done that way.
Yeah. One of my favorite items in the game has come to be the cowboy bust.
Oh, me too. Oh my gosh.
It's so satisfying.
It's got a good clunk to it.
Oh, it's so good to just throw at someone's face. Watch their face just smash in with this giant marble bust of a cowboy. So there's a rich guy from Texas that's staying in the room next to yours.
Yes.
And you can do some of that classic Hitman platforming to get over to his room. And there's just cigarettes and booze everywhere, which are not allowed in the hotel, so he's somehow gotten them in, and you can call in. I think he's there like for some issue with his lungs, and obviously doesn't care. But anyway, you can call the doctors in, and they'll be like, "Oh, someone rang. There's no one here," and then I just like peek up from the bed and throw the bust at them, and suddenly I'm a doctor now.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I really like exploring that hotel. There's the what are the baths called? I forget.
Sauna.
I mean, there's a name for them, like a Japanese bathhouse.
I'm not sure.
Onsen.
Okay.
So there's an onsen, and you can
onsen
go
eggs are amazing.
Mess with the heat, get everyone out of there, and you can bring. That's where the yoga instructor is found. And then you can, push her off the side of a hill. There is one of the escape routes. It seems like way too easy to get to, because there's a few different kill options near the snowmobiles. And they're just there. There's just some employees like having a cigarette out there, so they're not alarmed by you in pretty much any getup. And one of them is just running. The other ones I found that are typically a little more difficult to get back to. Have you found that to be the case?
I actually went to the front both times that I made the run. Yeah, I went to the front of the just where you come in, basically, like in the intro cutscene where you come in. So I just went there both times. But yeah, I'll have to check that out. What stood out to me most, besides starting with nothing in this level, was. Were 3 things. 3 things really stood out to me. Number 1, excluding the heart moment. Number 1 is this really rich social media guy who's getting his face changed to look like, well, yours, basically. And the way that it's very obviously they want you to, if you're not sure what to do because you don't have anything, they want you to pretend to be him, because when he sees you, he'll freak out and be like, "Whoa, man, whoa! I mean, hey, yeah, very funny. You know, you went for the same look, haha." No, but seriously, like, do you talk to people I talk to? Like, are you still? And he'll follow you anywhere you go.
Interesting.
He will follow you, and he's like, "No, but are you sure? Like, okay, this is not okay. Like, I'm really uncomfortable right now, man. Can you just stop looking like that?" Like, he's really freaking out, and so I led him into the bathroom and into one of the stalls and just clunk. Took him out.
Do you put his bandages on when you take
put his bandages on, and they go and take it off, and like, wow, it's perfect. There's no bruise, and the guy starts crying. He's like, "This is the best work I've ever done." Like, it's really funny. But then I just took him out and took his doctor clothes and went from there.
Yeah.
So that stood out to me. I thought it was a really interesting design choice. I just, it was memorable. I liked that a lot. Another one is there's an interaction between the head surgeon and his hands shake, and he's taking drugs for it. And so there's a helicopter pilot standing outside, and he'll go downstairs and get him some drugs to bring up to him that just help him kind of stay stable. And I managed to take them out, and I got the head surgeons get up. I actually did it both times, because the first time I shut off the life support, but the AI system is smart enough to defib him and bring him back to life. Mm-hmm. And so you have to go turn it off. And so that's what I ended up doing is I went and turned the life support system, the defib system off, and then I went back down and turned the life support system off. But that was just really cool. It's not just, well, you found the button, push the button, you win. It makes you think and makes you, work for it and work around this really cool AI idea where the AI is like learning and keeping track of everything and assisting in surgeries. I liked that a lot.
I also like the really just the design of the whole level. It's seemingly a really small level compared to some of the stuff that they did previously.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially the Colorado level just before it. It's much more focused, but that focus is immediately apparent. Like everything feels so intuitive, but not. That's not to say easy.
Sure.
It just allows for a particular kind of creativity in this very specific environment.
And I love how basically every other level feels like, okay, here are the guards that guard this place. Here are the guards that guard this place. This felt very natural, very much like it's not about trying to trick the guards so you can be in with the guards. It's just trying to get in with the right people at the right places. Yeah,
and this was an interesting choice. So, I mean, it is a game design choice, but also, the aesthetics help inform that. And that is any sort of area you're trying to go into is blocked by any combination of like 4 different employee classes, or maybe it's 5. So you've got like the wait staff, the custodial staff, the doctors, the guards, and maybe one other. I don't remember. But every door has some combination of access level, and everyone's uniform has that access level readily available on their back. Like you can see this, like Goku's suit. It's just got that large symbol on the back, and so exactly I need to get in there. So I'll just go find someone that is wearing that. And it's nice. It keeps everything like pretty readily apparent to the player. Excuse me, without seeming like it's beating you over the head with anything.
Yeah, I agree. That was really seamless. The whole level really felt seamless. As you move between a place, you're like, okay, this layout makes sense in my head, and I can understand where I need to be. And yet you'll still get lost. It is winding enough to where you'll find little areas that I didn't expect to see, or wow, that's a whole other way to get to that position that I was trying to get to earlier. I liked it a lot, to say the least. So that's really my take on it. I don't have much more to say. We've talked a lot about Hitman 2016 so far. That really kind of captures everything that I wanted from this game. I ended up thinking very highly of this game. It's a game that I'm going to keep playing.
It's very good,
to be honest.
I'm probably not going to continue playing it. Just because I want to get a head start on the second game. And if this is what they're leaving us with, if this is the end of the first game, and you can see the progression, because it was sort of a an episodic game. You know, you didn't buy the whole package. You bought just the first level, and then a month later, Sapienza came out, and they learned a bunch, and then they kept learning and evolving. And so, you know, they ended on a great level. Took a couple years to learn from all of their lessons, and I'm looking forward to what they've got in the second one if they ended on such a high note.
Areas look really cool, man.
Yeah, I'm very excited for it. I really want to do the small town. It's not Colorado. I forget. It's
like DC, isn't it? I think it's like DC or something.
I don't know. It's just some
classic
small suburban neighborhood. You know, white picket fence. That's the one I'm looking forward to most, I think.
Yep, that's up there for me with the racetrack.
Yeah. That people speak pretty highly of that one, right?
Yeah, that seems to be, from the people I talk to, that's their favorite.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, and yeah, I think I'm going to set this one aside, not continue anymore with the first one, just so I can really dive into. Was it 2018?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that is it for us, folks. We do want to make a pretty big announcement. We've got 2 episodes coming up in the next month that are not going to be our usual fare. Some lighter topics, goofy. Yeah, I think the next episode is going to be the Burger King trilogy. We're very much looking forward to that, and then we're going to watch the Hitman movies, Hitman, and then Hitman Agent 47. We'll be talking about how those stack up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure these are going to be near the top of my best movies of all time list.
Probably. Yeah. But that's because we'll be taking about a month off to finally play Persona 5. Persona 5 Royale.
Yeah, we are. Oh my gosh. So I've been looking forward to playing this game for a really long time. This is, I didn't even think we'd have the time in the cast, but our editor, my kid brother's getting married. He was just with us talking about Battle Network. He's getting married. Congratulations to him. That's a good time for us to take a little bit of an extended break, do some smaller, funnier episodes while we try to tackle this. I straight up have a game plan, like on how I'm gonna get this game finished in time going in. I have like a 2.5 hour a day schedule.
Yeah. Or if you can binge on a weekend.
Yeah, exactly. Like, okay, I can't play today, but I'm gonna make up for it when I play here. And like, my wife is gonna be so sick.
Who knows? Maybe she'll enjoy it. Well, she's probably not going to be able to stay around for that.
Correct.
That whole game.
Correct. Right? So, Man and I are currently getting through Okami. Getting through makes it sound like I'm not enjoying it. Okami is quickly becoming one of my favorite games. I love it. So she's just going to be a little bit upset that we'll probably have a lot less time to dedicate to that. But regardless, huge announcement. We're going to go through Persona 5.
And this is your idea, but I definitely want to do it as well. We're going to keep journals.
Yeah, little daily diaries of like our time, like almost like a schoolboy diary with like, you know, every day, here's what it's like, here's what's going to be, you know, this beautiful level of excitement, you know, and like, oh wow, this is such a cool mechanic. And they'll keep introducing it for the next 40 hours because it's a JRPG, so there'll be new mechanics that late in the game. And by day, 40, I am so sick of this cat's face. I want to punch it. I want to punch it in its dumb little mouth. Like,
can you just open the start menu? I don't need a 40-second animation every time I open the start menu.
When you look at the beginning of the journal, be like, this animation's incredible. It fills me with such awe and joy. True artistry. Regardless, I'm very hopeful that I'm going to enjoy it a lot. JRPGs for me, I've always liked them. I typically always end with a feeling pretty strongly about one that I finish. I finished Final Fantasy V recently, really liked it, but I have yet to see something that is kind of a standard JRPG. What you think of, the first hit, what comes to your mind when you think of a JRPG, like Chrono Cross?
I think Persona 5 can be and probably should be likened to Skyrim. I think it has done, if they didn't need it, but it has done something for JRPGs that I think Skyrim did, bringing just grand fantasy to the mainstream. And because I don't know any gamer that doesn't know about Persona 5.
Yeah, at least on the periphery, Just
at least
exists.
on the periphery. Like, Persona was a pretty niche series. I mean, it had its pretty vocal cult following.
Sure.
But Persona 5 is like a landmark title, it feels like. I don't know if it holds up. I'm sure it does. It
has to.
A wildly popular game, and I don't anticipate anything less than it being a landmark title, but it just seems like something that carries a similar sort of weight.
I guess for me, like coming from a place where my favorite JRPGs are stuff like Battle Network, Kingdom Hearts, action JRPG, you know, things that really push the idea of what a JRPG even is. They kind of really live on the skirts maybe a little more. So for me, when I play something like Final Fantasy V, and while I love it, it doesn't hit quite the highs I was hoping it was going to. I'm looking forward to this game maybe doing that for me. I think just from what I know about it, I'm excited. And if it doesn't, I'm sure I'll still love it, and we'll have had a good time. 108 hours of time with it.
That's insane.
I'm very ready, man.
I hope I can finish it.
This is going to be like, I feel like I'm going to feel the same way I did after finishing Infinite Jest for the first time. Just like I put that book down, and my response, despite how good it was just like just
there's a few interpretations of whatever just came out of your mouth.
Sure. And I think that's definitely what I was going for. So mission accomplished.
Okay, fair enough.
It was a lot. It was a lot. And I'm looking forward to having this game under our belts.
Definitely. I kind of hope I can finish it.
Come on, Tyler.
But I've moved the PlayStation to the living room so I can spend those 108 hours in a comfy chair or laying down on the couch instead of this desk chair, which I definitely want to replace. So during my work time, I'm going to go back and finish some of the games, like Battle Network. Some of the games I haven't finished. Battle Network, Majora's Mask, very high on the list. I probably won't get around to the deeper end game of Battle Network, but certainly, I've got like one session, probably two. Let's be realistic, but I'm right there at the end as we talked about. So I'll definitely finish it. It's a good game. I'm glad you shared it with me. I'm glad you finally, after a decade, got to share it with me.
It took a long time.
It did take a long time. But that is it for us. The next two episodes will sort of be trickling out at some point during the month and might have a slightly different format. We'll be moving sets as well. We didn't mention that. We'll be moving sets to Zach's house, so things will look a little bit different next time. Well, maybe not next time you see us, but definitely for the Persona episode. We'll see you.
Yeah,
we'll
thanks
see
for joining us, guys.
Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you've made it this far. Check us out on Discord with that $2 Patreon tier, and Instagram and Twitter as well. Still haven't gotten around to uploading those control photos.
Do them. What are you doing?
I've been doing this. I have so diligently been playing this game.
I'm proud of you. I'm very grateful.
I was doing really poorly in the beginning, and then I hit that brick wall. What's his name again? Kingman. I hit that brick wall. I'm sure I've said enough about it. And that was like 2 days. Yeah. 2 full days. I remember I was grinding for whatever. It didn't really work for me. But then immediately after that, I just breezed through the rest of the game with the build I had, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. I, at least up to this point, have not had a reason to switch switch folders, switch decks, because that sword build is just killing it.
Good.
But anyway, we'll see you around. Thank you so much for joining us. And don't forget to share what you love with who you love.
Thanks, guys.